Mm. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Black Manga Critic. I am back with some super dope friends of mine. I got Ash, Yeoman Axel, and Gabby. All right. This is going to be an awesome stream. If you all just want to introduce yourselves quickly before we get into like this One Piece conversation that I already know is going to be great. I can feel it. So if you can all just introduce yourself. Ash first, then Gabby, then Yeoman Axel.
Okay, so hey, I'm Ash. You guys might remember me from the last stream I did with the Black Manga Critic. So I'm a One Piece fan. I do editorials for the One Piece podcast. So it's basically about it. I have controversial opinions on the series, and we're probably going to get into a lot of them here today.
Cool.
And most of us kind of share those opinions. Here I'm Gabby. People know me as Yami Neftis on Tumblr and Twitter. I'm a Peruvian artist, so yeah, my mother language is Spanish. And I did also have some. I think some people think of them as controversial opinions about One Piece, mostly because I'm kind of tired of the treatment of women in this series. So, that's why I'm here. Thanks for letting me join.
Nah, no problem. I've been looking forward to this like for a long time. Like to have Ash and Gabby, and hopefully Kendra. Did Kendra say that she would be able to make it?
No, she said
later, or she said not today.
Not today. She unfortunately has work today, so
that's okay.
Yeah, maybe next time.
Yeah, we're gonna get it set up. Like we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out. But this is still awesome. And okay, so let's get to Yeoman Axel.
Right. So I have slightly less controversial, I suppose. I'm not exactly sure how I should introduce myself that way, but I'm a fan fiction writer primarily, and I'm not very well known. But I decided to join this stream just to be a part of the experience and see how other people interpret the series compared to myself.
Cool.
Oh, that's cool.
And when you say fanfic, One Piece fan, I'm assuming One Piece fan fanfic, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Primarily horror right now.
Ooh, interesting. All right. Okay. So at the end of the stream, if you want to throw out what I'm going to do at some point a bit after the stream and everything is like put information in the description box. So like, hey, if you have a link to like a website, right, like you say like fanfic or Yeoman Axel or your art, Gabby, and stuff like that, Ash editorials, like I'll put those in the description box so people can see them. And even if you want to put those in the if you want to put those links in the live chat so people can say, hey, let me check out this stuff, let me check out that stuff, like feel free to do that. I have no issue with people like promoting themselves, because like if you're already on the stream, then I already think generally like you're good people, so I don't have any issue with that. All right,
of course.
Cool. Very welcome. Okay, so we are gonna start, of course, like we're gonna talk about the latest chapter that came out, because I think that was another one that kind of it left a very like polarizing sort of like aura upon the community, the One Piece community. All right, as do a lot of One Piece chapters, but I think we want to start with that. And Yeoman Axel, if you could sort of introduce the kind of point that you were discussing with us before we went live.
Right. So I was reading the actual chapter in the Viz magazine, and I noticed in the little info box that always appears on the page right before the cover story that it talked about Kaido, and it mentioned him as the world's strongest man. Now, most of the time, he is referred to as the world's strongest creature. And I was saying to myself, is there really a distinction anymore between those two titles? Or is this primarily a scan to Viz difference? Because I support the official release, but I also read the scanlations just so I can see what The people getting ahead of the game, supposedly, are just their own interpretations of the dialogue and the Japanese kanji, and trying to see if there are any, acute differences. Like the translation that's better is obviously always Viz, but I can't help but wonder if Viz always refers to Kaido as the world's strongest man. I know it's just a small little tidbit, but it does kind of fascinate me a little bit.
I was doing some digging, and well, in Japanese, the epithets are different for Whitebeard and for Kaido. For Whitebeard, in Japanese, he's called Sekai Saikyo no Otoko, and that means the most powerful man. And in Japanese, he's the Hyakuyu no, the Saikyo no Seibutsu. And Seibutsu is creature, not human. So yeah, I think it's different. So maybe I'm not sure if this always uses men, but well, in Japanese it's different.
Yeah. I feel like that is really, like, at least for me, I think that's like an important distinction, because if we think about, at least for me, like, I think I like the idea that for me, creature is sort of like encompasses, like does creature at least in Japanese, like, Gabby, and I'm gonna ask you, like, do you feel like that distinction sort of means that creature sort of includes men as well, like as just like sort of like beings that roam this planet or the One Piece world or whatever, and that Kaido is just like above like every living person or every living creature, or right?
More for monsters or something.
Okay, I gotcha.
Search it a bit, and I'll tell you, because I think it's more for it goes more for that. That I'm not really sure.
Because I think that's interesting. Like in some right, like if we think of sort of Kaido as, in some ways, like it goes somewhere to me very, very interesting, where we sort of see Kaido as someone who might not be viewed as like viewed in the way that we view people, as sort of like equals or the same, with the same, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not weight, but like importance, I guess, or significance. You know what I mean? Where it's like, like a lot of people won't like will call like a dog like an animal, but we don't call like a person an animal, unless you're talking with one of those people that get like really, really like super like technical for like technicality's sake or whatever. But like I think it does something for Kaido's, at least it could possibly do something for Kaido's character, and maybe that's something that we could sort of explore, like how he's been treated, his upbringing, how he's been, how he's moved throughout this One Piece world, stuff like that, as like someone that's seen as a creature as opposed to a person, a human, or a person, or whatever. That to me might be interesting. So I think the strongest creature distinction is in the way that you're kind of talking about it, Gabby, is interesting.
It seems like Seibutsu, it's translated to living being. So yeah, I guess it includes humans.
Okay. So if it's I mean, so what do the both of you think? Yuman, Axel, and Ash, whichever one of you wants to go first.
So you want to go ahead first, Yuman, and then I'll save mine for later.
Yes. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I absolutely hate interrupting people. So whenever I try and like talk, I'm always like afraid that I'll interrupt someone. Honestly, the distinction is very clear to me, because Kaido doesn't seem very human at all.
Yeah,
You're human for the most part, but aside from he has the horns for one thing. But also something to keep in mind, I don't think, and this is very important, I don't actually think that Kaido himself is a devil fruit user. And the reason I bring this up is because you would think, well, if you're the world's strongest creature, well, one of the things that makes you a creature in the One Piece world is a Zoan devil fruit. But if Kaido had a Zoan devil fruit, why hasn't he drowned himself already? I mean, we've seen how he acts. He's a very suicidal person most of the time. You'd think that he would take advantage of his Devil Fruit's weakness and just off himself, but he doesn't.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, you can talk. You can talk.
You sure? Okay. Well, I think I've heard some discussions over this topic, and well, I agree that it's weird that if he doesn't have a devil fruit, why didn't he just drown himself? But I think he wants to die, but in kind of an honorable way, just like Whitebeard. And well, there's this theme among One Piece men that have this honor code. So maybe suicide isn't really the way he wants to go, no? But
I suppose it's just that if that's the case,
also, well, I think the theory I'm more inclined to believe about Kaido is that he isn't really a demon, but he's a dragon, and that's why he can fly, and that's how he got to the sky to fall in his introduction chapter.
I just assumed that he jumped up.
Huh?
I just assumed that he
jumped
because he's so strong.
That'd be interesting. Sorry, Gabby, what were you saying?
No, I was saying I don't know. I mean, it was about 100 now, 1,000 meters above the sea level. So I don't know how he could just jump there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was being a little. I was being not sarcastic, just a little funny about it. I don't think he jumped, but
okay, sorry.
No, but I feel like that to me is interesting because like it would be cool if he was right, like let's say like a dragon or a creature or whatever, a being who just he like I think it'd be more interesting if he didn't have a devil fruit. I think it'd be more interesting if he didn't have a devil fruit because I do feel like sometimes like the whole thing with like katakuri and the sort of mochi fruit and stuff like that, like there's some things I have feelings about that. And I felt, and I feel like, at least to me, like I feel like katakuri would be more interesting if he didn't have that mochi fruit. I felt like his the observation haki and that ability to like sort of see into the future and stuff like that, you know, and him just kind of using jelly beans to like shoot people down, like that to me was fine. Like I think that was like that was interesting enough. I don't think the mochi like devil fruit was really necessary much, but you know, that's just me. And I know people can argue like differently, but I guess like back to sort of Kaido, I guess I feel like it would be interesting if he didn't have a devil fruit and his abilities stem from him being like a particular type of like creature or being or whatever. That to me would be really, really cool.
Well, to elaborate on it further then, see, to go even further, I don't actually think Kaido is a natural creature. I think that he's something that perhaps Vegapunk or someone before Vegapunk whipped up in a lab. You know, I don't know why, but I had this brilliant idea in my head. It's not really brilliant. It's just more fan fiction material, really. But
so like a Frankenstein, Mary Shelley kind of thing going, you mean?
Yeah, you could say that. Like Vegapunk is Kaido's dad, basically.
You guys realize you're hitting upon like everything I've written about Kaido in my editorial right here?
Yeah, I've written it. I mean, I've read it. I'm sorry. I've read your editorial. I'm kind of dredging some stuff from that a little bit.
No, but go ahead, Gabby.
Oh, no. I wasn't gonna say anything.
Do we want to? Okay, so I guess what we could do. I mean, because I think it's really interesting. Like, I think that's like a conversation that could go on for like legitimately like an hour. Like we just talked about, well, what is like, what is Kaido? Is he an Oni? Is he is he a troll? Like, what is he? We don't know, right? So, but I think it's good. I think I'm hoping that Oda does something interesting and interesting with him. I think the whole that Ash and Yeoman Axel, what you bring up with Vegapunk and this sort of like Victor Frankenstein and the creature like relationship, that would be cool. That to me would be cool. I like that.
Do you want to get into the Wano discussion right now, or do you want to save that for a little bit later after we?
I would
talk about it a little.
I would say we'll save it a little bit later so we can maybe talk about the chapter now, because I think everyone in the chat definitely has stuff to say about the recent chapter, and I mean about Wano too, and their thoughts on what's going to go into Wano. But let's talk about the chapter. Let's talk about the recent chapter because we got some thoughts.
Right. So if I have it up right now on my screen, so if you will allow me, I can just read off the title and get us started. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So chapter 904, introducing the Revolutionary Army captains. The term captains kind of sticks out to me because a lot of scanlations like to smooth over the different titles that are given to different groups. Everything is like a commander in the scanlations, but the Revolutionary Army, they have captains, and Kaido's men are calamities, and Big Mom's men are generals. No, it's just all commanders in the scanlations, and I really hate that, because it really feels like it's just kind of milking or smoothing over a lot of these special little distinctions that Oda creates for us readers to interpret in our own ways. I'm sorry, I don't mean to get hung up on the title, but that just really stuck out to me as something that the Viz translation does a lot better than any scanlation.
I gotcha.
So we see Orlumbus, and he's bowing before a king, and he's resigning. It says down below, the saga of the self-proclaimed Straw Hat Fleet, volume 34, Orlumbus retiring from being the pioneer adventurer of the Standing Kingdom. Once again, the Orlumbus parallels, or the Columbus parallels, are being carried forth through his resignation.
I mean, okay, so where do you want to start, I guess, in terms of this chapter? Like, because I think there are some things that were cool. Like, I think there were some things that I liked about this chapter, but there were a lot of things that I thought were kind of meh, I guess, in a way. Like, not like, in terms of the stuff that like, well, I'll get into it, but how do we all feel about it? How do we all feel about the chapter?
Being totally honest, I am terrified right now. I've never done this before. So
no, it's okay. I mean, what you mean, like, you mean like giving your opinion on like the chapter, like on like a stream, you mean?
Well, it's just I've never done this before. I've never talked to people in this particular way before, and I'm just
okay.
And that's why I'm so stilted. I apologize for that. But on the subject of the chapter, I actually really appreciated this chapter because it gave us a new perspective on the revolutionaries a little bit. It gave us more of an understanding of how they operate. And I thought that the introduction was handled fairly well. So something to keep in mind, though, is that this was the Golden Week period. And as a result, the chapter is a little shorter, and so Oda was kind of rushed a little bit to get the whole thing done compared to his usual time frame, which is why I feel like these introductions are just a little lackluster compared to what we've seen before.
Yeah. I think, and I mean, I guess for me, that, like, I think that it didn't bother me as much as I thought it would. Like, because I heard some things, because sometimes I'm really great about avoiding One Piece spoilers. Other times I'm absolutely horrible, and I'm on Twitter like all of Friday and Saturday and Sunday, and people are just like, this stuff happened, and I'm in this chat where like everyone is talking about One Piece, and it's just like boom, 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 spoilers. And I'm like, why am I here? Why did I like walk into this chat? But like, I think that didn't bother me as much. Sort of like, I don't know if it was. It's not that it wasn't lackluster, because I do think it was lackluster. But I think that in some ways that kind of represents like activist sort of like movements and revolutionary sort of like movements and radical and progressive, like radically progressive movements. Like it's very ground level. It's not like I think there, like, that's not to say there aren't groups that are very rah-rah in ways, but I think that might be a decision that Oda made to sort of say, okay, like it's not about, you know, this declaration over here, but it's like they're doing like this work on the ground, and like, you know, and they're just helping these people, and they're dealing with this like, you know, scrub pirate. You know what I mean? Because he's a scrub pirate.
Yeah,
you know
so
what I mean?
like the downplaying is intentional, basically.
Yeah, I think so. Because it's like revolutionary work should not be defined, and this is something I talk with like people all the time, like activists and stuff like that. It shouldn't be defined by your like targets in terms of like their notoriety or whatever, stuff like that. It should be like, you should be there are levels to it, you know? So I think like it's fine that they're trying to help these people because they need help, you know? And it's not like, oh, well, this pirate has a bounty of, you know, 300 million. We should go deal with like that because that's more important or whatever. It's like, no, like this pirate is, you know, harming harming this like community and oppressing this community, and like we need to stop them, period. So I think in some ways like that's a cool kind of move, but he's also like attached to Blackbeard, so it's not like he's like a nobody.
No, he's Peachbeard, and you know that's actually very funny how he says that under Blackbeard I've taken on the name of Peachbeard, and that set my mind a whirling. Like, are we going to see a red beard and a green beard and a yellow beard, all these beards working under Blackbeard? And I thought that would be a very funny motif for Blackbeard's subordinates to have.
Mm-hmm. That would be funny. Like, oh, like just like these colors. That'd be dope.
Like super, like a Sentai team, but beards. Germa beards. Germa 66 beards.
I like it.
Momohi.
Okay, so how do we feel about the captains? How do we feel about their? Well, no. Okay, you know what we're gonna do? Here's what we're gonna do, because there's Naya and Shadi and a bunch of other people in the stream suggested it. Like, let's start at the beginning. Let's start with like those first like, you know, those first like sort of 2 pages, like those like legitimate like pages of the chapter outside of like the Orlumba stuff, and maybe we'll talk about that stuff and what's going on there. How do we feel about that?
You mean the Orlumba stuff first?
Well, no, not the Orlumba stuff, because I feel like
the captains.
Yeah, it's like it happened. We understand what like the significance of that generally.
Well,
but let's talk about the next 2 pages.
Well, okay. Morley and Belo Betty, I like both of them. Lindbergh, I think, is also fairly cool. The one guy I actually have the problem with is Karasu, and that's because his design is just a little too similar to the design of a major villain in My Hero Academia. Like, eerily similar. I mean, all you have to do is put hair on him and just kind of adjust the straps on his mask, and it's pretty much overhaul from My Hero Academia.
But is an overhaul also based on another character? I think I've seen his design before too.
Yeah, and maybe it was like taking inspiration from Hirokose, but at the same time, it's just a little too similar for me. Now his power is cool. I love his power, but his aesthetic is just a little too close to overhaul. And we just got the end of his arc in My Hero Academia. I won't spoil what happens with him, but we've gotten the end of his storyline for now. So it feels like now that he's gone, it feels like Oda was either had this design saved up, or he just flat out borrowed elements from Hirokosei's designs. And I just kind of expect a little bit more from Oda at this point when it comes to creating his own work. I mean, with the other three, Lindbergh, Betty, and Morley, I mean, you could say they're archetypical, but they're definitely Oda designs. And Karasu just doesn't feel like an Oda design compared to them.
I gotcha. Give me 1 sec. Okay, so here's what we'll do. We're going to, okay, so the first thing we'll do is we'll discuss the captains, and then we're gonna sort of just backtrack to the beginning of the chapter with the stuff with Ivankov and Koala and Dragon and Sabo, and them being on Newcomer, with newcomers and everything like that. So we'll talk about the captains first, and then we'll go back to those first 2 pages and just kind of like go in order, and we'll do it that way.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, cool. So let me make sure I'm on like the page where they introduce like all the captains, so we can talk about that. Okay, so that's what we're gonna discuss, and like I do feel like, I don't know, like his design doesn't bug me because I think it's sort of like it's sort of like a nod to I think, yeah, like definitely like My Hero and maybe like characters that like a character or characters that were that influence like Overhaul's like sort of design with the mask and everything. But I also feel like it's like it's a nod to like Morgan's and like that sort of like design, and like kind of like being maybe the opposite of a character like that, where Morgan's just very much like this like Big Bird-esque kind of like he has this Big Bird like sort of aesthetic, and like that's kind of like, I feel like that's done on purpose and everything like that. And Karasu is just kind of like, to me, like when I saw him, I immediately thought of Big News Morgan. Because I'm like, this, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of like where my mind went, because it was like, oh, this guy like this, well, this person's like the like complete opposite of like Morgan's. Supposed to have this like look, doesn't speak very much. Morgan's is all about talking. You know what I mean? It's like there's a
contrast.
It's a parallel kind of.
Yeah, I see it a little bit now that you mention it. There is definitely a contrast between Karasu and Big Bird Morgans, Big Bird Morgans, as I like to call them. But at the same time, if maybe they had been introduced in the same arc, this contrast would have stood out a lot more. But I don't quite see it. Well, you know what? Actually, no. Actually, now that you mention it, Karasu, he seems to be the communications officer, because his crows are constantly circulating the globe, delivering messages, and then you've got Morgan's and his seagulls are delivering news. So you know what? Actually, your connections point, that makes a lot of sense now that I think about it. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's kind of how I saw it. But go ahead.
For him, well, I like his design, but it's a bit plain to me in the sense that, well, I like this steampunk theme in the revolutionaries. So when he's with his chest exposed and only a cravat, it's like it looks a bit lazy to me. I guess I wanted a bit more for his clothes, because I mean the giant is already wearing his more giant-like clothing. So, and well, Beloved is another topic for me. So yeah, he's a bit plain to me, but I love his crow motif. It's really cool because they were introduced before with Sago, and I was really looking forward to see who was controlling these crows.
Yeah, same. And like I think yeah, if I had to like, the design, I think for me it's fine, but it's not anything like, like there are times where like Oda has like a particular character design, and I would say this is like early on. Early on, he was just throwing like fastballs. You know what I mean? It was just like, boom. here's an awesome design. Boom, here's an awesome design. And it like, and that to me was like early sort of like One Piece, you know, where you just got like, you got Kuma and Doflamingo and you know, and all these characters, you know, Nico Robin. You just got these like really, really awesome designs. There's just too many characters to count, you know. So like I get what you're saying, Gabby, that like, you know, where's like the rest, I guess, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'm not too disappointed in like the general trend, but that's because, you know, Oda's been doing this for 20 years now. I don't expect him to continually bring out greater and greater designs every single year. If he did that, I'm pretty sure Oda would be hospitalized a lot more than he already is, because he's pushing himself way too hard. I do expect like a little bit much. Like I expect his designs to be his own more often than not. But I don't think Oda's designs have gotten worse. For example, Katakuri, I think his design is fantastic just because of how much it contrasts with everything around him. And it really just sets him apart from his environment. Which adds...
I agree that the designs in Whole Cake Island were really cool. Even the women were amazing, although, of course, they didn't do shit in the arc. But... well, I think that for this at least, I don't know, maybe it's because the revolutionaries are my favorite group in One Piece. I mean, Sabo is basically my favorite character aside the Straw Hearts. So I guess I was waiting I was expecting something more, because I don't know, if I saw them among a group of people, I don't know if they would stood up too much, stand out. I mean, I don't know. I don't really like them that much, because I mean, when you see the other designs for the revolutionaries, they are humans, but I don't know. They have this uniform with the cape and the stuff and this stuff. So I don't know. I honestly like them more than these ones, because maybe I feel like all that kind of, well, he either goes all out or does small designs. And I think he kind of went to the middle here. He didn't go all out, but they aren't really the common designs for the revolutionaries. So I feel like it's just there in the middle, especially for Belovetti. And well, people know what I think about her design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we move on to, you guys want to talk about Belovetti next then?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, before we do that, I would just like to say one last thing about Karasu. As much as I'm not like a huge fan of his design, I do think his devil fruit power, I'm calling it the flock fruit at the moment.
I gotcha.
Turns him into a flock, you know. Technically a murder, but you know, whatever.
That's probably what Oda's going for. Maybe like the you know, murder fruit is sort of like a joke or whatever.
Well, he certainly looks like he could kill someone like at the drop of
a hat. Yeah, you know.
But you know, the North Blue, it's never been stated outright, but it's been implied several times that the North Blue is like the strongest of the four blues. I mean, you know, it birthed Germa and Doflamingo and his pirate crew, so a lot of strong cats came out of that place. And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't a good portion of the North fall to the revolutionaries? That means that Karasu oversaw that. So this guy must be pretty strong then.
I feel like probably. I think that's why, like, for me, when you hear those sort of conversations, like, oh, these people aren't really that strong, you know. But I'm like, but how do you know that? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, what did you see in this chapter that proved that they weren't capable, strength-wise? Were they fighting a vice admiral, like in actual combat? Like what did you see? That's the stuff for me. It's like, you know, where the logic for sometimes when I hear that stuff, I'm like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. You know, it's like and Naya brought this up like a little while back, like not too far back at all. You know, and it's just like, their abilities are like suited for revolutionary work, right? This is something that, like, if you're reading this chapter and you're like, and then you read it again and again or whatever, you know, then you see that, you see why, like, they, like, Oda's given them these abilities. Like, you get it, you know. But I think, like, if you're solely focused on, like, their, like, oh, can they beat, you know, Kizaru or you know, Sengoku or Shanks or whatever, then then it's like, that's not really like the point of this chapter at all. You know, it's not, you know, it's not like, and I don't particularly have, like, you know, super like interest in conversations like that for the most part. But I understand why people have them. I get that. But it's like, to sort of like project those sort of thoughts and stuff like that onto this chapter when that's not really what this chapter is about, is like, I don't know.
Even then, I think it's not even the point for the revolution in general. I mean, they want the people to stand up. They don't really want to win. They want to win over the world government, but I don't think it's about who's stronger, but who is right. So
yeah, I would agree. I don't think R2 is like super strong. I'm just like kind of noting that maybe for the North Blue, he's like the perfect man for that operation. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I interrupt you, Gabriella?
No, it's okay. I was done.
Okay. As for Belo Betty, yeah, I've heard a lot of bad things about Belo Betty, and I can totally understand that. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are upset. When I think of Belo Betty, I think of the inspiration for her, which is liberty leading the people. I would never use that to kind of justify the whole thing, but I would think that Oda is definitely drawing upon that painting in the creation of Belo Betty. Now, could he have done a little bit more to not like super sexualize her? I would agree, but you kind of have to look at the influence and see how that affected like the work as a whole, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, the thing is there that, well, Marianne is the woman that appears in the painting. She symbolizes liberty. And well, she in the painting, if you look at her closely, well, her chest is exposed, right? But also she represents a lot of things that women in that time were trying to go beyond. I mean, she's muscular. She has armpit hair. And well, there's also this say that she has her chest exposed because she's feeding the people. So there's a lot about her, and definitely she isn't a person that is sexualized in the painting.
Right.
I mean, she symbolizes liberty. So my thing with Belo Betty, and well, of course she is based on her. But my problem there is that if Betty is supposed to symbolize her, then she shouldn't look like the typical One Piece perfect girl with a big chest and that. Well, that's what makes me angry, actually. I mean, Marianne symbolizes a lot of things. So when Oda just takes the part where, oh look, her titties are out, so I'm gonna have Betty have her titties out too. That's kind of an insult to me, because well, this isn't Betty giving a message in the One Piece world. I mean, One Piece women dress like they want. They don't have to dress certain way, and they are trying to go against that. No. They can dress whatever they want. So there's no message there for me. So it's like, well, you can see that Oda only did this because she wanted her to look sexy, but it's just too sexualized for me. Because, I mean, well, first, her jacket is supposed to be based on Enjordas from Les Miserables.
Okay.
But of course,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, if you look at the picture of him, he has the same jacket. and a shirt, of course, but that was left out, and the tie. I think the best picture is from the movie, but well, you can see that Oda, of course, left the shirt out. And I don't know. I have this. If she's supposed to be a combatant too, then how can you fight with those clothes? I mean,
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying. You know, I would agree that that is an issue, but from my perspective, whenever I see female characters in One Piece, my first thought is not to their sexiness, it's to their personality, to their capabilities. And I totally understand the appearance problems that Oda has, like depicting too many of his women as being similar in their designs and in their sexualization. What?
they're all the same.
All the same?
All the women look the same.
Yeah, and I'll say this, like, and right, and it's like, and I think Gabby, like, I don't think, I know, right, like when you say that, I know you don't mean every single woman's like face, is like drawn exactly the same to a T, like they all have this, like, you know what I mean? I think you know that, you know, but I would agree that, right, that like when you look at the majority of women, like in One Piece, like a lot of them have very, very similar facial designs, very, very similar body types, and regardless of age, sometimes, you know what I mean? It's like, come on, you know?
Yeah, I'd add that most of the prominent women in the series are the ones that are usually typically sexualized. And then the ones that designs where like you have like the Alvida of the series, say, they're usually only supporting characters, will only show up, you know, once here and there or in the background. So that's the other big problem with having, again, another token female in part of a group. Like you have Betty in the Revolutionaries, you have Jewelry Bonnie in the Supernovas, you have Captain Hina in the Marines and Tashigi. And if you stack them side by side, like they're design wise, they're pretty much almost exactly the same.
See, I would argue a little bit on that point because, see, I mean, I don't want to like be under the impression that there's no ground to stand on here, but when I see these female designs, yeah, they are very similar, but I don't think that they're similar enough in my mind to start raising the red flags immediately. And again, I honestly don't think that any characters in One Piece are sexy to me. I don't see these characters, and I don't really, you know, I don't feel much of anything. And I know that that's not the what a lot of people say, but I just don't really feel anything compared to. I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure what to say.
No, I mean, I think generally we understand that like you don't feel that way about these characters, right? Like some sort of like, you know, attraction or desire to like sexualize them necessarily or whatever, like coming from you particularly. But it's like if you look at the community and you look at like just how much like art is out there that is right, like these characters are already like sexualized, but then you've got all this art out there that like takes it to this like other level, you know, where and like, you know, I mean, we're you know, I don't necessarily want to talk about it on a stream because like again, like, you know, I do work for you know, like I do work as like a teacher and everything like that, so I try not to like talk certain things, but you know, if I don't have to, but it's like there are more than enough people doing that, right? So and that's like that's kind of the issue. It's like, you know, and that sort of only like allows that only emboldens Oda to be like, oh well, not only am I doing this thing, but look at all these people that like love this, like, you know, the same sexualized designs, and who want to like, you know, take that sexualization to like another level, you know, because I've already set this precedent as the manga of the series. You know what I mean?
I totally understand what you're saying. That's actually that's a really good point. And if you're the creator and you see that people love your creation, you're not going to be very inclined to change it, even if it might not be sending the right message, is basically what Oda is probably going through right now. It would be better for Oda to look at his female designs as a whole, compare them, and think about ways to change it up. Maybe make them less sexy, but more unique or interesting. Because on the side of the men, you've got a lot of attractive men, but then you've got a lot of crazy men. But Oda doesn't really do that for the women too much because, well, sex sells. And that's kind of what I think his mindset has become a little bit. And I agree, it's definitely disappointing. I apologize, Gabriella. I don't mean to offend you or anyone else in this chat. Just me personally, I personally don't find any of the design sexy at all. So I'm not offended either way. And that's just me.
Well, the thing is that, of course, if you look at every design separately, they aren't really that bad. The problem with me is the trend. I mean, if you look at the latest designs, without counting, of course, Whole Cake Island, because that one had a lot of women and all that kind of went crazy there and made a lot of cool designs. If you look at the trend, well, honestly, the last design I really loved for women was Otohime.
Yeah.
She was so different from the rest. She was a mom, but she wasn't sexualized a lot, I guess, because of her backstory. Mm-hmm. But still, I mean, if you look at Rebecca, Viola, Baby Five, I don't know. They all look the same to me. That's just how it is for me. I don't know if it's because I'm an artist and I'm kind of picky about it. But it's really underwhelming when you look at the male designs and they are all crazy. And actually, in this chapter, if you put the page where they are all aligned, you see the clear difference for Oda when he designs his characters. I mean, 3 really crazy designs for the guys, and well, 1 talking girl that looks just like Nami.
Well, it does help. Well, it does help a little bit that her lips are bigger and they have a lot of lip gloss on them. There are some.
I mean, why can't she have a crazy body like the others? I mean, if she's so based on Marianne, why couldn't she be muscular like Miss Monday? I guess no, Miss. Oh yes, Miss Monday. It was right. The only muscular woman in One Piece.
Oh yeah.
Why couldn't she? Like that? I mean, why does she have to have this body? Why?
Yeah. And I feel like that sort of like kind of moves into sort of another point where, right, it's Oda's like at least to me 2 distinct styles when it comes to women, and they say a lot. They say a lot, right? There's either sort of like what Gabby and all of us are sort of talking about, the like Barbie kind of like, sort of like figurine like style, like sexualized like body type, right? And then if they're not that, generally, right? Like generally they're sort of like meant to be joke like caricatures of like women and kind of like and in a negative way, right? Like it's like I like big mom Lola, the new the new comments, like all that's like they're all like it's like Otis sort of saying like, here's this design, but I'm also saying that these women are supposed to be like unappealing in this very like, annoying sort of way.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's what bothers me. And it happens consistently, right? It's at the very beginning of One Piece, right? It's like, here's Almeida, and like she's like, the captain, and like it could be this moment where you know, it's like, yes, like Oda's doing this awesome thing where like here's a woman captain, like, and that's the first person that like Luffy is going against or whatever. But it's like, no, like Alvida is this crass, is supposed to be crass, loud, obnoxious, abusive, and Luffy and like Luffy is supposed to like get rid of her, right? It's just like, and it's just like you see the stuff continue to happen, even when it's like characters that I really love, like Lola. I love Lola. Lola's one of my favorite characters. I love Lola. And so I remember someone was like, Lola, you really like Lola? I'm like, yes, like I love Lola since like Thriller Bark. Like I just did. I thought she was phenomenal. I was surprised when I saw her as a character. I was like, yo, like, yo, Lola's putting in work. You know what I mean? It was like, what's happening? Because even though there were some characters that, you know, some women that were like, you know, that are great characters, like Lola seemed like she was like a consistently like great character, and she was, you know, she fought, she had plans, like, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot to her. And I felt like Oda even added a bit more to her in the Whole Cake Island, where she was a woman who was able to make a decision and say like, you know what, that ain't my life. I'm gonna go do my thing. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna let you like force me into this like, you know, awful like arranged marriage or whatever. But I feel like even that, no, but like even that, like right, her design is like a clearly, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, even though she has all these wonderful qualities, she's ugly, right?
Yeah,
like
and
that
people have to point it out all the time.
You know, and that's stuff.
Like, no,
go ahead, Gabby.
Me? No, I was saying that the thing with that is that people always have to point out when they are ugly, like with her or with Kureha.
Mm-hmm.
And also, don't forget that, say, Ivankov is an ugly man, right? But when he turns into a woman, now he has a narrow waist, he has big boobs, and all the stuff. I mean, why couldn't he keep his body? It's not like women with big bodies don't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that that's... Yeah, I think Ivankov is kind of like, if you really want to look at where this trend is at its worst, Ivankov is like the best example, because he has been on both sides of the wall, basically. He's been a man and a woman, and the divide is very clear with him. I was hoping that if we could just talk about her powers for a minute, because I mean, I think her powers are definitely the most interesting thing about her right now, and we can say a lot about, you know, her design and how it's very similar, but she definitely has a very distinct personality, which is something that Oda does pretty well with his female characters. Many of their personalities are distinct and memorable, even if their designs don't really follow that trend. And I especially love her power, and I thought to myself, that is such a great power for a revolutionary. The ability to inspire and even kind of buff the people that she speaks to. And her inspiration of them, I feel, is going to play a huge part in the eventual defeat of the world government going forward. And that is very exciting to me, because Oda, he has kind of a tendency to give kind of weak, weird devil fruit powers to women, but here he's giving a very effective one to a woman. And I really love that he's finally bucking one of his own trends here.
Yeah, I think in one way, I understand, like I understand, like, you know, seeing it that way, and I think like that's valid, like the ability, like it makes total sense where, you know, in terms of the group that she belongs to and the work that she's doing and everything like that. I totally get that. But it also just like, again, like it's like, why can't you just have this woman in One Piece be like incredibly like strong, or you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I know we haven't seen like that yet, and maybe she is, and we will get to see that, and that'll be really, really cool. But it's like a support like role. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's the thing. It's like even like it's like you gotta push. You know what I mean? You have to push. you can do more. And like for me, like if Green Bull isn't a woman, I think we have like a severe problem. And we already do have a severe problem. But like if that doesn't happen, and then come on.
I'm not hopes up at all.
Yeah,
You know?
same here. I mean,
I'm not really
honestly,
looking for that one. Honestly,
I'd love for Green Bull to be a woman, but I don't see it happening. But I will say I want, and this is like a desperate need. I need Green Bull to have some kind of relationship to Tashigi on Wano. Because Tashigi is like one of the characters that when she's first introduced, she had so much potential. She's got such a great backstory. She's such a compelling character. And then she's just been constantly nerfed throughout the series. And I really, really hate that. Like, I really want her to be uplifted again and to be shown that, women can be powerful in this series. Because up to this point, they're really, really not shown as such.
well, Boa Hancock is very strong. I mean, this is not like a general.
I love Boa Hancock, but Oda's approach to how he sexualizes her and he basically makes her a sex object is what really turns me off. Because whenever you talk to anyone about Boa Hancock, they'll say, "Oh, she's so terrible, she's so annoying because she's always fawning over Luffy all the time." And I'm like, if you hadn't have that character trait, she's such a great character, but that's the thing that Oda chooses to emphasize. And so that's all that's the only thing everyone sees is, oh, look at her fawning over this guy. Oh, she's so terrible. Where you don't see that, there's actually a really powerful, compelling female character hidden under all that.
I think that's got to do with Oda just making her basically the love interest at this point, because she started great. She's basically my fave female character in One Piece aside Robin, I think.
Yeah.
But the problem is that the fandom kind of has this view of her because of what has happened with her in late, until we last saw her, right? She's basically now support for Luffy. The thing is, I wonder if Oda will do anything with her if, say, the world government finally makes the 7 warlords disappear, because her island is supposed to be protected by the world government. So what happens when she stops being a warlord?
That actually is.
I hope Oda does something with that.
I'm so sorry, Gabrielle. I thought you were done. Sorry.
No. I mean, I hope Oda does something with that and not only relegates her as the love interest for Luffy that's waiting at home for his return, like many wife-like characters.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say that if that does go down, I actually have a pretty fascinating theory, and that is that if the warlord system is disbanded, the world nobles, one of the first things they're going to do is, so Kuja Island, the Kuja pirates, they're free now, right? Like, they're horribly misogynistic, twisted minds. They're going to be like, oh, well, that island is full of young, beautiful women, so they're going to send the Marines over there to try and capture them. I would love to see Boa Hancock and the Kuja pirates just completely destroy any Marines that try and capture the girls for the world nobles, and just like completely repel their horrid authority. I would love to see that, because it would focus on the strong, powerful aspects of Hancock without any of the Luffy fawning that a lot of people have grown to dislike. It would focus on the best parts of her.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You like that idea?
So let's explore that actually, and let's talk about Reverie then, because we know that, like Reverie, everyone's been expecting it since forever, since we first heard about it back in Drum, where people were like, in 5 to 10 years, Dragon's going to be a serious threat to the world government.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you guys feel? Like, how do you feel that Reverie's going to play out? Like, what is going to be the end result? Like, once Reverie's over, what changes do you think are you expecting, basically?
Well, before we do that, I kind of, you guys can keep talking, but I have to drop out for a few minutes to check on my grandpa. He's in my house right now.
Okay.
I'll be right
sure.
back. I'll be right back.
Sure.
All right. And yeah, Reverie. Okay. I mean, yeah, I've been waiting for this for a while. And I already know. I expect a lot. I expect a lot from the Reverie in particular. I think we only get like a few chapters related to the Reverie, like 5 chapters. I'd be disappointed. I expect this to be like, I don't expect this to be like, a crazy long arc necessarily, but I expect something on like in terms of like the length of like Zoe, I guess. Like how many chapters was Zoe?
At least 10, I think.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Like I expect something like that, like a sizable chunk of just like solid like reveals and seeing how the world is sort of set up, what the ways in which the world government chooses to move depending on the situation and stuff like that. Yeah, so what was it, like 20 chapters or something like that? So like for me, if I got like 20 solid chapters, or even 20 or 25 solid chapters of the Reverie, that would make me happy. Because then I feel like in that way Oda could really showcase like just like the size of it and like the just sheer like number of topics being discussed. I feel like that would be a like adequate number of chapters to deal with that in, but it could be more. I don't know. What do you both think?
So, like for me, I'm kind of the outlier on Reverie, and I expect it to play out in different parts. Because this links to another theory of mine I have. Because we're talking about the Warlords and the Warlords getting disbanded, we have to talk about Edward Weevil. And like so many people don't really seem to like him, and I'm like, yeah, he's not a very interesting character right now. But when you look at his backstory, I can't help but wonder like how it's going to fit into the story right now. Because Luffy's become Emperor level, so for him to fight a Warlord now seems kind of like a step backwards. Unless there's a strong link between whatever Weevil's backstory is playing into the future of the series. And the only thing I can think about that is there's 3 characters we know of that have some kind of connection to Whitebeard, and there's a 4th that we're expecting to be on Wano, and I can see that not all tying in. Because Cat Viper's going after Marco, who we know is hiding out somewhere. Weevil's going after Marco because he wants Whitebeard's quote-unquote treasure. And then we have Jewelry Bonnie, who on Sabaudi all those years ago, we saw her crying when Whitebeard got stabbed. And we have Sir Crocodile, who just recently came back into the story, and he's like, Oda's just killing me with the tease here. But we also know that Crocodile went against Whitebeard one time, and he lost. So I can't see it not having all these characters come together through that one connection they have of Whitebeard.
That's a pretty interesting theory. Actually, if we're talking about Whitebeard, I do have a theory of my own regarding Weevil. I think that it's possible that Weevil was a member of Crocodile's old crew, but the loss to Whitebeard drove him insane. And he adopted the persona of Whitebeard's son, and he got really strong. Like, he was just working every day. He gained all of this physical strength to try and live up to Whitebeard, because in his fractured mind, he feels like he must be related to the man who beat him.
That's an interesting theory. Okay, I want to spin another one out here. Do you think that Edward Weevil is either a zombie or an experimental byproduct?
I think I will for the former.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry, ask that question one more time.
So do you think Edward Weevil is either A, a zombie, or B, he's like an experimental byproduct gone wrong?
I think he's the second.
Yeah, because again, this is like my crazy theory here, is because you guys, if you read my tutorial, you know I'm obsessed with Wano and Kaido and like all the thematic elements of it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another character we haven't talked about that everyone expects to come back to Wano. Again, has a connection to Whitebeard, and that's Gecko Moria. Like everyone knows that Gecko Moria has to come back. And then you have this character who's got all these scars, who looks like a stitched together corpse, right? And he's like, "Oh, I'm Whitebeard's son," and like I can't see that not having some connection to Moria.
Do you
That's
so?
really. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. So, do you feel like Moria like robbed Whitebeard's grave and like took like body parts?
Okay, so this
I
is
mean-
where
I
we're gonna
mean-
get like this is where we're gonna get into my massively like just crazy speculation where like everyone hates me for being like, oh, you're a theorist, but here we go. So like you all know that my idea is that Vegapunk is Kaido's creator. Like Kaido is basically a chimera created of a bunch of different humans and like fishmen, whatever parts, made into one form. And that's why he's called the world's strongest creatures, because he's an amalgamation of like a bunch of different creatures put together.
Okay.
I have to assume that he didn't get it right on the first try. So what if Weevil was like one of his first failure products? Because in the original Frankenstein, the thing was he stitched together a human body, but what he found out was that the nerves and everything were too, like the minutiae of doing that were too hard in a normal human body. So he had to make one that was massively larger just for like to increase the scale of the size. And so what if he did that with Weevil? Was like that was his first failure trying to stitch up a corpse together, and is like, nope, this thing sucks, I can't use it. And if Moria got his hands on it and you imbued a shadow into it, you could be like, okay, I don't need it to work perfectly because I got something else operating it now.
That's not a bad theory at all, but I feel like the big problem I have with it is if Kaido is the creation of Moria, then why did Moria feel that?
No, Kaido's the creation of Vegapunk. I'm saying that Weevil
Okay.
would be like a knockoff Kaido version 1.
That makes so much more sense. And
Yeah.
that actually leads brilliantly into another theory I had. What if, and hear me out, what if Moria is the one who gave Kaido his giant X-shaped scar?
It's an interesting.
That'd be cool.
Because think about it. I have a theory that Kaido is just a little bit more honorable than what we've seen him act.
Mhm.
And I think Kaido is also secretly looking for someone who could possibly take up the mantle of Roger. But Kaido saw that Moria was this absolute monster and thought to himself, well, crap, this guy might actually do it. I can't let a monster like him inherit Roger's legacy. So Kaido crushed his spirit to make sure that Moria would never be able to accomplish what Kaido knew he could not do, essentially.
No, I think I'm thinking the opposite way, because this is the other thing I wanted to bring up, because we have Jack's crew, and we know like those guys are really monsters. Like this is going to be a massive speculation again, but like thematically when you're looking at Wano, like this is something I've been exploring a lot. It's like, what is Wano going to be about? And of course you have like the monsters versus the humans and the whole idea of like, which one's which. But everyone expects that, Kaido's going to be like this evil guy and he's going to be doing all this stuff. And I'm not saying that he's not going to be, but I'm wondering like, what is his motivation for what he does? Because when you look at Prime Moria back in that flashback during Roger's execution, he looks massively different from what he has now. And the biggest thing is he has those little stitches from like his throat downwards. So my idea is that if Kaido, because we know Kaido's been captured by the Marines and he's been tortured repeatedly, like we don't know how many times. So I assume that must make him like an expert in like torture. So I think what he did to Moria was he said, I'm going to torture your crew one by one and kill them. And if you can't stop me, I'm going to keep doing this. And of course, you have Moria just lying there, unable to stop him as his crew gets killed one by one, until finally Kaido comes to him and he says, all right, obviously you're not strong enough to defeat me and give me the death I need, so I'm going to kill you too. So what if he vivisected him like all the way, and Moria had to restitch himself back up, and that's why he became so much less powerful. Because the Marines pointed out at one point that he was on level, well, like he was able to match Kaido in a one-on-one fight. And right now, the level he's at now, there's no way he could have gotten from A to B unless something happened to him.
Well, I think Kaido was a lot weaker back then to begin with. He wasn't as strong as he is now. Because, same with Big Mom. Big Mom was always very strong, but I think that Big Mom, like, in her 6-year-old state, would obviously lose to all the great powers that be. Kaido, I just can't see Kaido and Moria on the same level unless Moria was much stronger, which we know to be the case back in the day, and Kaido was a little weaker. Kaido, as he is now, I feel like would destroy Moria as he was back then. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's the other question, though. So is Moria going to be at the same level as he is now, or is he going to have gotten more powerful, and is he going to want revenge on Kaido? And the question is then, how would he have become more powerful?
That is the question.
Gabby, you have any thoughts on the matter?
Well, if it comes to Weevil being a zombie, I guess the only problem I have with that is that if he has a shadow, then he couldn't be in broad light. I guess. And then, well, I'm not sure if Kaido can be an experiment from Vegapunk, because I got this feeling that Kaido is a very old being. Maybe, I don't know, more than 100 years, and it doesn't seem like Vegapunk is that old. So maybe if I have to go in that route, I'd say that Vegapunk has been trying to make a Kaido based on the original Kaido, and maybe Kaido is actually kind of like Ors, in the sense that maybe he's from some kind of ancient creatures, and he's like the last of them, so that's why he wants to die. And well, Vegapunk saw him, and since he's so powerful, maybe Vegapunk wanted to make someone like him, and that's where Weevil could have come from.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards the Vegapunk, like, I don't even know if I wouldn't even say discarded, I guess. Like, I wouldn't say it like that, like Weevil was discarded, but maybe, you know, escape is might be more like hypothetically accurate, I guess, in that sense. So I'm leaning more towards that. And the shadow thing, I think the reason why I'm not leaning towards like the shadow thing is because like that yeah, I don't know. I'm just not leaning. Like, I feel like it'd be too easy to like deal with. Wait, would that ability, like, if you like threw like water into like if he was a zombie, like would like throwing water into like Weevil's like mouth or something like that, would that work? I don't know. Like, I don't know. Does it depend on like the strength of the zombie I don't know. I generally don't know.
I think we can. Sorry, Ashwin, but I really feel like we can rule out the theory, the zombie theory, simply based on the fact that we have seen Weevil in broad daylight, and I don't buy Oda like breaking his rules to such an extreme degree. He kind of broke them at Marineford, but I mean, Weevil is he's his own character, unlike the zombies at Marineford. So I just don't see Oda completely nerfing his own rules for the sake of this plot point.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, but yeah. Like, but is it that the zombies can't go out in daylight, or is it that the people, right? I feel like it's the people whose shadows have been taken. Yeah, they can't like go out into daylight and like do their thing or whatever.
Oh, that is wrong. I'm sorry. I got it wrong in my head.
You know, but I will say that like, yeah, but I will say that like if if like Weevil doesn't have like that issue where like, you know, if you throw some like, you know, water, salt water or whatever into his like mouth or whatever, then like, you know, like if he doesn't have that issue, then I can see it. But I think I'm still leaning towards like the Vegapunk, the Vegapunk side of things, right? Like, and Joy Boy was kind of talking about, and a few other people, in terms of talking about the newspaper article where Vegapunk was in the article and Weevil was in the same paper. So that might be sort of like Oda throwing out like a crumb or something, you know, like a you know, trail or whatever. So say, hey, like you should think about these two together, you know, and maybe I don't know.
So when do you think Vegapunk will be introduced into the story? Because right now it seems like everyone expects him to be at Reverie. So do you think that's going to be the case?
I think that Vegapunk is going to be introduced. See, the thing about Vegapunk is his very existence is kind of infectious. Like, he gets into every theory, he gets into every speculation point. He's been hyped up so much that I honestly don't even want to make any expectations for him. I feel like we should just wait for him to come to us and not expect him to not try and force ourselves onto him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
yeah.
Go ahead, Gabby. Go ahead.
I agree with that. I mean, I think it's better to just not know. Like when we were introduced to Kaido and he came out of nowhere, and it was one of the coolest chapters in the series.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
I rely more. Well, my hype on Vegapunk is more related to that. I think he was converted to the revolutionaries by Kuma. So I kind of feel like he has to be introduced, maybe not now, but when something related to the revolutionaries goes on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be cool if we saw, like, well, not that it would be cool, but I think it would be, I would be okay with, like, you know, I'd be very okay, obviously, right, with, like, seeing Vegapunk and him being at, not at the Reverie, well, at the Reverie, but, like, not, like, sitting with everyone else, I guess, like, at, like, well, however it is set up, you know what I mean, like this massive, like, table, and everyone's, like, you know, like, I feel like there, like, it would, like Gabby sort of saying, it'd be, like, a chapter where, you know, as the Reverie is sort of going on, we get like a Vegapunk centric like chapter, you know, where he's doing whatever, and it might be related to something that's being discussed at the Reverie or something. You know, I think that to me would make more sense. Because I generally, you know, whenever you sort of have like these like meetings and stuff, like, you know, sort of like a United Nations kind of thing, like you have like just those leaders, like the leaders are like there, like they don't necessarily like, you know, come through with like, oh, well, here are the leaders, and then here's like all of these, here's like this one person who is important to this discussion, something like that. It's like that happens like somewhere else, you know. So I feel like that it might be a thing, like if it is like if it might be during the Reverie sort of like arc, right? Like but I think it'll be a chapter, like Vegapunk will get a chapter all his own.
I would like to see a Vegapunk-centric chapter, mainly because he definitely deserves it, considering the massive amounts of hype we've kind of gotten surrounding him. Like he is probably the most hyped person in all of One Piece right now. We know the most about him, and we know the most of what could possibly happen about him. The speculation has become so great at this point that I feel like we could really expect anything, and see, that's the problem I have with Vegapunk. I want to see him so badly, but at the same time, I'm just afraid that what we're going to get is just going to disappoint like 95% of the fan base, simply because there's just been so much hype surrounding him.
Yeah.
Like, he's just an impossible standard in a way.
Kinda. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I will say this. I think, like, for him at least, it's not so much his personality or anything like that. It's the design. The design is like the big thing for me. when it comes to like his reveal and everything like that. I like that should be like it should be like it's either gonna be like a super like wacky like like whimsical like design, like that's what I want to see, or it's gonna be like, or Otto might just like troll people and like he's gonna be like the plainest looking scientist that like we've ever seen. Like he'll just be like sort of plain caricature, I guess. Like if that, like I guess it's an oxymoron.
Do you subscribe to the theory that Kizaru is Vegapunk? Because I don't.
Nah, nah.
There's no.
I don't think so.
I love. No, that doesn't make sense. I feel like
it would be a really cool twist, but it would make no sense at all. Like
yeah.
Nah. Well, I think that since the closest people we've seen to him are, I think, Judge and Caesar, right?
Yeah.
So I guess he'll go along those lines.
I like thinking of Judge.
Both of them.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And I can understand.
Okay,
sorry, Gabby. Go ahead.
I was just saying that I like those designs, so I honestly don't. I'm not really worried because I'm pretty sure that Vegapunk is one of those characters that Oda has designed a long time ago.
Yeah.
And he already knows how he looks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be like a really interesting, super wacky design. That's what I hope for. Kind of like a what's that cartoon? Man, it's like I don't know why. Like I just feel like he looked like if like you remember that cartoon Freakazoid that would like kind of came on with like Animaniacs and all that other stuff. And like he was just this blue dude and he had this like wacky hair and everything. And like I just feel like he'd kind of have like that vibe, but like if Freakazoid was a scientist, I guess.
See, my crazy wish for him that'll never come true is I want him to be like Mojo Jojo from Powerpuff Girls. Just this crazy little midget green monkey. And it would just be the best.
That would be very cool.
Yeah, like an ode to the Powerpuff Girls. That'd be.
All right,
I would like that.
See, then if you.
Oh, sorry.
Then you have this whole thing of like, oh, how did he create Kaido? Well, he created sugar and spice, except he just went really overboard with the spice.
Tossed in two horns and just there you go. And going back to Kaido, I actually have a theory on how Trafalgar Law is going to defeat him. I think
those are bold words, man. Bold words.
I know they're bold words, but I think I have it. I think I know how they can beat him. Like they can finish him.
Wait, Law is, oh, you mean like that the group that's at Wano right now is going to beat Kaido?
No, I think that Luffy and Law are going to work together with several other people, and they're going to take down Kaido. And I think I know how it's going to go down. And it actually relies on Law's most simple ability, his simplest ability, his ability to cut things. Here's the thing. Law is not like other swordsmen. He doesn't really need to put effort into anything he cuts because it's a part of his power. I think that what needs to happen is the Straw Hats and their allies are going to have to wear down Kaido. They're just going to have to wear him down until he's no longer as invincible as he once was. Like, same thing with Big Mom. Like, they wore her down in certain ways. With Kaido, they're going to wear him down, and then I think Law is going to cut him up and just cut him and cut him and cut him and cut him and cut him over and over again, like slash him up like Atomic Samurai from One Punch Man, and just turn him to dust. Just dust him. That's how they're going to do it. They're going to cut him up so thin he won't be able to think, he won't be able to feel, he will be dead in the most technical of senses. They won't be able to kill him, but they will be able to basically cut him up so small that he won't be able to do anything or think. They'll cut his brain apart, they'll cut his They'll cut everything basically. They'll just completely scatter him to the wind, to the dust. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's an interesting theory, but I disagree for one fundamental reason.
What?
And that's Luffy has to be the one to defeat him.
Why?
Because
Yeah.
at end of series, Luffy's gonna have to fight Blackbeard, who right now has 2 devil fruits, and I really highly expect him to get 3. And if he cannot defeat Kaido one-on-one, then he's not gonna be able to defeat Blackbeard.
Well,
If
see,
you
I
remember-
disagree on that because here's my train of thinking. Kaido feels to me like someone who's stronger than Blackbeard is right now. Now, Blackbeard could get stronger, but Kaido feels like an opponent who has to be tag teamed because Kaido will win in a one-on-one fight with anyone.
See, that's the thing. I don't disagree with the idea that he's going to be tag teamed, but I say that they'll tag team him, but that won't be enough to finish him. And Luffy has to be the one to deal that finishing blow because of exactly what you said. There's the expectation that if you go against Kaido one-on-one, you're going to lose. And Luffy has to subvert that expectation by being like, no, I went one-on-one against this creature and I came out on top.
Okay, then how about this? Luffy wins the fight and knocks out Kaido. He wins.
Yep.
Then Law can cut him up.
No, because again, this
So-
is a theory Greg originally suggested, and I kind of agree with it. But I think Blackbeard is going to come in and steal the victory out from under him.
See, that's where I think Marco will come in and tell Luffy about. I'm sorry, I'm shouting now because I'm so excited. Marco is going to let Luffy know about this. If Blackbeard does, if Kaido has the strongest Zoan, Marco knows that Blackbeard has the strongest Logia and the strongest Paramecia right now. Marco will probably alert everyone, hey, if we take down Kaido, there's a fairly good chance that Blackbeard could swoop in like he did with Whitebeard, and they'll be prepared for him this time. And I would love to see Blackbeard lose, like finally lose to someone, because Blackbeard has just been winning and winning and winning, and to finally get beaten and to finally get denied his final, quote-unquote, final victory would just be really satisfying. And I know you're going to say, well, we're going to save that for, like, Raftel and the actual final battle.
Yeah.
Well, why can't Blackbeard suffer a defeat before his final defeat? Luffy has suffered defeat before his final defeat.
Because, in my opinion, Blackbeard, from now until the end of the series, is basically going to be a vulture. Like, he's going to come in and steal out the victory from every single group, because he has to be the biggest threat the world has ever seen. Because at the end, everyone expects that there's going to be like this big end of series war, and Blackbeard's going to be one of the factions that does it. And I'm utterly convinced that he's going to attack Reverie, and he's going to destroy it and make himself become the world's #1 criminal. Because right now in this chapter 904, we know that the revolutionaries want to declare war on the Celestial Dragons. If they get upstaged at Reverie, like however manner they get upstaged, suddenly all that influence and everything they've been building just gets completely undercut because Blackbeard's stolen the thunder and all the attention's on him. So when you build it up, when you're just like, okay, this guy's become such a great force in the New World that no one wants to mess with him, at the very end, right before he reaches his goal, Luffy undercuts him and then takes him right when he's like a step away. That would be so much more devastating to see, especially for Blackbeard, than if he loses now and then just like gets up again and reclaims like a victory at the end.
Okay, you know what? That actually is a very good point. Now, I just uploaded something into the One Piece Podcast Discord page. Do all of you have access to that?
I don't at the moment. I can get access to it. I can get access to it sometime today, but I don't have access to it right now.
Okay, then what I'm going to do is I have to show you this. I created in Word a large chart, a power map, if you will, Game of Thrones style. I made this. Yes, I did.
It's cool.
I'm gonna post it in the top chat.
Okay.
Oh, I don't think I can post it. No, I can't post it. But okay. Dang it. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to show you guys this because this is something I really want you guys to see, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to give it to you guys. Is there any way I can like show it to you?
just quickly interrupt, guys. I actually have to take off, but this has been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of the discussion plays out.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Yeah, see you later. Hopefully we can do one of these again soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. See
All
you
right.
guys later. Thanks.
See ya.
Bye.
Yeah. Whoa, sorry about that. That was a random.
All right.
Go ahead.
Is there a way for you to see my link? Because I'm trying to like find a way to give it to you.
Can you send it to me via like the chat or something like this Hangouts chat? Like you should
Wait,
be able to like.
I should try to send it. The chat won't accept web addresses.
Oh, share
Really?
your screen.
Your screen?
Yeah, you can share your screen.
My
How do
screen.
you do that? How do you do that?
There's an option in Hangouts that allows you
Screen
to
share?
screen share.
Screen share. Let me see.
Yeah.
Screen share. Is that one of the options in the? No.
No. I can. Application window.
On the left of the window, there are 3 icons. One of them says screen share.
Okay, so it says Chrome wants to share the content of your screen, Hangouts. Okay, so like, do I share the entire screen? And then like you send me whatever it is that you want to send me, I guess?
Yeah, so no, I'm looking at it right now. So there's a chat, right? There's a chat. And then there's 3 dots to the side, and it has participants, pop-out chat, toggle timestamps, and send feedback. Is that different?
Give me a sec. I'm trying to figure out like, because usually, well, no. See, like on the top there's like the chat, and like you should be able to send like a link or whatever in there. Like if you have a link, you should be able to send it there. Like on the top, it's like a little message, like the blue like message thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
And it's not allowing you to put a link there.
Yeah,
That's weird.
Tell you what, let me try something. This might not work, but let me try something. You guys keep talking. I'm gonna figure this out.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but like the what was it? The whole stuff with that kind of Ash was talking about in terms of like Blackbeard and like I kind of agree. Like I feel like he's very much so like he's a vulture sort of like character. You know what I mean? No, go ahead, Gabby.
No, he likes to cheat. I mean, he doesn't do things in the right way or the honorable way. So it's to me, it's very likely that he'll wait for Kaido to be taken out to take his devil fruit.
In other words, he's a typical pirate, basically.
Yeah.
See?
He's very much so like like kind of like a Long John Silver's type. You know what I mean? Like from like Treasure Island and like the film, like the animated film, like the story and like the novel and the film. Like Silver's is like that character that like he's like his ambition is like so intense that it sort of allows his character to do things that he shouldn't be able to do. At least like in terms of like, not that he shouldn't be able to do, but like there's what's the word I'm looking for? There's like a presence that he has, and there's an ambition that he has that's like it's clearly like it's so much more intense than all the other characters in the story. And in some ways, like the animated film, not so much, but I think the story, the novella, like that's like where it's at. I think Blackbeard is very much of a character like that's based off of him in a way, because like Silvers is also like that. He's like, he's like, okay, when am I gonna make my move? When am I gonna make this move? Kind of always thinking about those things. And so Blackbeard is like a character. I don't see him, like that's why he's just gonna be kind of not chilling, but like, I don't think Blackbeard was like, oh, I'm gonna go face Marco. You know what I mean? It's like Marco was like, okay, I gotta like, do this revenge fight because of all the stuff that went down in Marineford. So Blackbeard is like a character that really is just he's supposed to get he's supposed to get under your skin. He's supposed to make you feel like You
He never
know?
starts a fight. He never starts a fight. Like Luffy, he never starts the fight, but he goes about the fight in a horrible way compared to Luffy.
Yeah.
By the way, I got scrappy. I found a workaround. So if you go to your Otherworld Barbara Volume 1 video, if you go to your own video, Black Manga,
okay.
I posted it as a comment. Yeah. So I commented in one of the completed videos you did.
All right, let me get over there now.
Do you see it?
I'm looking. Oh, okay. I see it. Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, so now you can see my power map.
Yeah. Let me try the screen share thing.
So I put a lot of effort into it, and I've actually made some improvements since this one. I added Crocodile and Gecko Moria and some other people into the Underworld section, but that you won't see that because this is the prototype really, and I'll show you the finished project next time we do one of these. I love building stuff like this.
All right. Okay.
All right, yeah.
Is that it? Does that?
Yeah, that's the one. So let me if you could zoom in on it. Yes. So let me just try and explain what's going on.
All right.
I won't go into too much detail, but here's how things are breaking down. So Big Mom, she's kind of wrecked right now. Her empire has been damaged severely, and she's currently battling the Sun Pirates and Germa 66. She's probably defeated both of them at this point, but I just we don't know their fates. So until we get a confirmation one way or the other, I'm just gonna have them in a perpetual battle. Then you have the Straw Hat Pirates. Notice I put Straw Hat flag here, but his flag is the smallest of the five that surround the world government.
Okay.
And that's because right now Luffy's the weakest of the emperors.
Right.
But he has a lot of allies. He has the Whitebeard remnants, probably. He has his own crews, his own subordinates. He has the Kazuki clan, the Mink tribe. He has all these subordinates, and that big red ball of violence is him versus Kaido. And notice, Kaido, his empire has been weakened too. I mean, Jack was defeated. He'll probably be retrieved, but I mean, Kaido, he lost a lot of gifters because of Jack's horrid incompetence. So his army's not as strong as it once was. And then you can see, but Kaido makes up for it with his allies. He's got the Apu pirates. Oh gosh.
Yeah, I just wanted to make it a bit better, so you can see it here. They're like the Jolly Rogers of other crews and stuff that are affiliated with this. You're looking at Kaido or Blackbeard?
This is Kaido. Yeah,
Kaido, right?
Definitely Kaido. And as you can see, Kid is just completely wrecked, defeated. He's got a big red X.
Okay.
And then if you go down to the Underworld section, so there are 5 of these Underworld tycoons left because Doflamingo was defeated and then Dufeld got killed. So just these 5. And there's a bunch of little pirate icons near them, like the remaining pirate forces. And the revolutionaries, they've taken up a large portion of the underworld now because they've become stronger as other forces in the underworld have become weaker. That's kind of how I see it anyway. And then if you go to the world government itself, the little symbol in the middle.
Which one? Where are we looking?
We're looking at the big cross in the middle, the big plus sign.
Oh, here. Oh, sorry. Let me get
So then you have the different branches of the world government. You've got the elders and the nobles and the reverie. That's all in the middle. That's the core. You've got the Marines, the Cipher Pool, the Warlords, and the Impel Down. Those are all the forces that constitute the world government.
Okay, I gotcha.
And in the new one I made, the Warlord symbol is cracked to try and represent how they're not at their full power because there's only 5 Warlords.
Right. And that's why to me it sort of made sense that, you know, the reverie is happening now, and that probably the one like the dissolution of like the Shishibukai like has to be something that is like legitimately discussed at this reverie, because I feel like if they're going to do it at any time, like now makes the most sense. Just simply because like Luffy's already taken down 3 of them. It doesn't look like the Straw Hats, like in terms of like, you know, the notoriety, in terms of like how people sort of perceive them as kind of like, you know, directly opposing the world government, you know, with the shooting down the flag and taking down Shishibukai and all these things, you know. I feel like that's going to be gone soon, sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about that. But go ahead.
Right. So Blackbeard's symbol, that's down low. That's the 3 skulls, and Aokiji is right near it. Speaking of Aokiji, man, what a guy! What a mystery! Like, what? I mean, of all the people to join Blackbeard, I would put him like at the bottom of the list. But he jumped ship and went directly to being a pirate, or an ally of a pirate at the least, which I find very fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, Gabby, what do you think about like Aokiji's affiliation with the Blackbeard pirates?
Oh no, well, he's the wild card there, and there's obviously a big motive. I guess. Well, he's seeing a lot of shit from the government, so I wonder if he obviously knows something we don't. So if he could have joined Luffy because he knows the ties with Garp and Dragon and, well, all the forces that are going kind of against the government. So I guess if he chose Blackbeard is because he knows he will have a big role eventually.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll know very soon. He will stay in the shadows for a pretty long time.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like Aokiji is going to, at the very least, attempt to stop whatever it is that Blackbeard's going to do at like the end game. You know what I mean? Like Aokiji is like literally chilling, right? Like he's literally chilling. You know what I mean? He's just like, I'm gonna keep cool. Like, sorry for the puns, they are intentional, obviously, but like he's gonna keep cool. He's gonna chill. Like he is going to wait, because it doesn't make any sense like to do anything right now. I mean, like there's not much he can do without the backing of like the world government. Like it's just him right now, you know. What's really interesting to me is that like he doesn't feel like he can take on Blackbeard at this time, which I think is the case, or he's legitimately like waiting to see like, hey, is this like move that Blackbeard's going to make, is this going to be like useful for the government in any sort of way? Is it not? Like you know what I mean? And even then, I don't know. Like I don't know what does Aokiji want for himself?
Aokiji is to the Marines what Kuma is to the revolutionaries. Like he's an enigmatic figure. We don't quite know all of his motivation. And with Kuma, I am not of the theory that Vegapunk has like Kuma's mind in a jar somewhere. I think that Kuma is well and truly dead. Just the body that remains. Yeah. And I can't help but think to myself, what would drive Kuma to sacrifice his existence to become this soulless, mindless machine? I do think that Vegapunk is going to like program Kuma to turn against the world government, but it won't be Kuma. It will just be a devil fruit empowered robot. And I think to myself, well, that's just, was Kuma really willing to like sacrifice his soul for this cause? Was he really willing to go that far?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Like, go ahead, Gabby. Sorry.
oh, I'm sorry. Well,
Oh, go ahead.
I think he does, because this really should have been a long plan, because as far as we know, well, he's been a revolutionary for years, but also to be able to join the warlords, he had to be a pirate at some point. So I feel like this has been a really long plan that even Ivankov didn't know about, because Ivankov wasn't aware that he was a pacifista when he saw him at Marineford. So maybe only he was probably the chief of staff before Sabo, and they saw the possibility to be close to Vegapunk. I think he was a target actually, and they made all this act of becoming a pirate because he was known as the tyrant. I think Kuma the tyrant. So he had to be a pirate at some point. So I feel like this was all an act only to be able to be close to Vegapunk, and the only way to prove his loyalty to the government was by giving his body away. But that gave him complete access to Vegapunk.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was the reason he joined. He wanted Vegapunk to join the revolutionaries because, as far as we know, Vegapunk isn't really that loyal to the government. He just likes the funding for his projects, because otherwise, why would he allow Kuma to have that last wish to protect the Sunny when the Straw Hats were away?
That is a good
I feel like he's also a wild card there. He isn't really that loyal to them. He just likes the money, I guess.
But I will say this: I don't think a lot of people online have cited like, oh, Vegapunk is this good guy because when he was a kid, he like cried because he couldn't like finish his invention to help the people. Honestly, we've gotten a lot of horrible doctors and scientists in One Piece, just awful people. But I actually think that Vegapunk could be the worst of the bunch in the sense that he's like the coldest. Like maybe he didn't help those kids because he knew that Caesar Clown was going to do bad things to them. Maybe he just did it because he knew it would be disadvantageous to his research. I don't think of Vegapunk as a good person. I think of him as just solely focused on his own desires. Basically a very selfish individual.
Yeah, it could be. I think oh, so here's kind of just the way I'm sort of thinking about it. And like I feel that yeah, I think some people think that Vegapunk is like a revolutionary, part of the Revolutionary Army, and I think that's fine. Like, I think it's fine to think that. I'm not necessarily disputing that idea, but I guess like I'm just sort of like introducing a different idea, you know, like because I think that makes sense. Like generally, I think it's something that could happen, but I think that what's going on is that. Let's say Vegapunk is not a part of the Revolutionary Army, and that Kuma, right? Because I feel like it doesn't make much sense. Like if Vegapunk is part of the Revolutionary Army, like for Kuma to sacrifice himself, like at all, you know what I mean? For like the creation of the pacifista and everything like that. Like why Kuma? You know, then it just seems very random. But I think that like.
Oh, sorry.
You know, but like I think that Kuma is sort of like a plant. Like I feel like Kuma sort of sacrificed himself so that and this is where Lindbergh comes in for me, because I feel like Lindbergh is like in the sort of vein of a Caesar Clown and a Dr. Vegapunk, and right in the inventions, the sort of techie like person and stuff like that. You know, the inventor, like the mad genius kind of like sort of character. And I feel like Lindbergh and Kuma work together in some way to plant some sort of like, you know, program or virus or whatever you want to call it to get to the place where the pacifistas are under their control. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that might be a thing. I think that to me, like that's something I feel like might happen. You know, but I'm just throwing stuff out there.
I think Kuma would gladly sacrifice his life if it meant giving the revolutionaries the weapons necessary to like destroy the Marines.
Yeah, and I think I think that for me it's like, yeah, but I feel like, like I don't think it's a connection between Vegapunk and Kuma. I think it's like more like Lindbergh like came up with this idea, or like the revolutionaries all like sort of like, we're like, hey, how could we like cripple the world government in some way? You know what I mean? Like how could we hurt them in some way, like in a substantial way? And I think they came up with that plan. It doesn't necessarily involve Vegapunk. They might not have any connection to Vegapunk, right? But I do think that Lindbergh, being like the techie sort of person that he is, when he's freeze guns and stuff like that, was like, hey, I have this plan, but I'm like, maybe they heard about the pacifista program or whatever, and they were like, okay, let's get Kuma like in on that. Kuma's a Shishibukai, da 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 da. They may not trust him, but they don't know that he's a revolutionary, so they'll use him, and they'll be more than happy to like experiment on a pirate, da 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 da. You know what I mean? Like regardless of what happens in that sort of scenario, the world government kind of wins because they gain control of like a pirate, of like that pirate's abilities and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot going on here that's really interesting, and that could be super cool.
And it does bring into mind, like, if Kuma had not signed on for that experiment, would the world government have asked Doflamingo, hey, would you like to be the new, like, we won't turn you into a pacifista, but we'll base a pacifista design off of you. We have a bunch of Doflamingo robots just running around.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know, because like for me it's interesting, because I don't like. I guess the project would be different because the pacifistas are like very much so based upon like the infusion of like that cyborg sort of ideal or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know if it would be the same thing. I guess they'd just be like regular robots. I don't know. I guess. But I feel like the pacifistas are more than that.
Honestly, the term pacifista. Oh, I'm sorry, Gabrielle.
No, go ahead. I'll say it later.
Well, I'm just
no. Go ahead. Hold on. Gabby, what were you gonna say? I'm interested.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't think that Vegapunk was totally converted. I mean, I think he went to the world government on his own. He was offered this spot as the lead scientist, and he took it because, well, he has all the funding he wants. And I guess that, but for the way that we saw Vegapunk's hometown, he does seem like a person that wanted to help people. But of course, they also said that his mind was, I don't know, 500 years ahead of the time.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's something the whole world probably knows. So I feel like, yes, maybe Kuma's end goal wasn't really just Vegapunk, but I feel like he was a target for the revolutionaries, just because he can give them also information from the world government. And also there is this treasure in Marillo, I think. And the way that I see it is that Kuma wanted to prove his loyalty. So what a better way to do it than giving all your body and seeing they can do whatever they want with it. And as far as we saw, he had more closer relationship with the elders than the other warlords. So I feel like there's something there. Maybe they wanted him to get closer so he could gather more information, and also know about the whereabouts of the government in regards to Luffy or other people that were important for the army. But I feel like since he practically died when he was turned into a pacifista completely. I just don't see something more important there than getting close to Vegapunk.
Yeah, I think Kuma. I mean, think about it. If Kuma knew that his cause was going to end in his death, he would think to himself, "What can I do that would make the most impact in the war, like the shadow war between the revolutionaries and the government?"
Mm-hmm.
Converting Vegapunk to their side and taking control of the weapon program all in one go. And then Kuma dies. I think he'd die happy knowing he did all that. And Kuma, he is an ally to the Straw Hats, or he was one. I think Kuma also recognized what Dragon recognized and what Garpa recognized, which is that Luffy could very well be the next king of the pirates.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I too have to depart in just like a few minutes.
Yeah, we can. Depending, we can end the stream. We can end the stream here because it is like 6:22. It's almost 6:30.
I just want to let you know, I have a great idea. How about we do these? How about we do these streams every week where there isn't a One Piece chapter?
That's interesting.
All of the One Piece chapters that are in like the block, because Oda, he has like a block schedule, like chapter, break, chapter, break. So we can talk about all the chapters and the events that happened in them within like a block during one of the free periods. Does that sound like a good idea to you?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say like we can do that. I would say that's something that like let's say we have that definitively where it's like let's say like during like a week where there is no chapter like this one, and like yeah, if you're all available and you want to like and then we all want to do like that video on that let's say on Saturday or Sunday. I guess I would say I guess Sunday works depending on if I have if I don't have something already like planned or like for a stream or something like that. Then we could pick like a Saturday or Sunday, whichever day like makes more sense during that week, and then we could do that.
Yeah, because I love these streams, and I especially love talking to you guys. And I also love to have more people in here. Like, you guys have been great, but I want to see, like, there's some other people on the Discord for the One Piece podcast that have opinions of their own and theories of their own. We can, like, kind of branch out, get a lot of people in here. It'd be a little bit more hectic, but there'd be a lot more opinions and whatnot.
I don't mind that. I mean, like, generally when I have conversations on these streams, like, I usually have at least, like, this number of people, like, at least 3 or 4 people, talking at any one time, like, at least. So that doesn't bother me. So I think if that's what you want to do for those particular days, like when there's not a One Piece chapter, then to me that's fine. Like if it's a Saturday or Sunday, we can figure that out. And I also want to have like people like from like people that like are also like part of this channel who are always here. You know what I mean? Dribble Kenshin, Shadi, Tony, if other people want to come, right? Like Kendra, you know what I mean? Other people that are usually here.
We can make our own reverie, like all the big YouTubers.
Yeah, Key. You know what I mean? Yeah, like that. Like to me, that would be dope. Naya. You know what I mean? Like that. I'd have no problem doing that. I would just I would say the key is just just making sure that like that there are enough slots, because like I think the max number of people that I can have on these usually is like 9, including myself. Right, like including myself, like no, the max is 10, including myself, and so that means like there were like nine available slots, right? And then there's you, then there's Ash, Gabby, Kendra. You know what I mean? Depending on availability and stuff like that. So one thing I do want to make sure is that like there's always space. Like to me, like I always want to make sure that there's space for, women like who are fans of One Piece to be able to like come on these streams and talk about this stuff, because, again, like oftentimes, it could be a sausage fest. There's like there's too much like testosterone, like not even testosterone, but just like too much like too many dudes, you know, like at once. And like I get, you want your friends to be there and and everything like that, but it's like, what tends to happen is that you have like these conversations that don't really like acknowledge like the issues that we've been talking about. And I always want to make sure that like, not only like, right, like not just like women in terms of like representation and like and inclusion and stuff like that, but like, like women like Gabby who are like, yo, like here are these issues, right? Who are fans of One Piece and are like, here are these issues. These are problematics that exist within One Piece, and other manga and stuff like that, and the community as a whole. And let's talk about those things as well as the, general stuff that we always talk about, because it's not like we don't like One Piece. It's like we gotta talk about that stuff because it's important. And there are a lot of people out there that are like, yo, this stuff ain't flying.
Well, I have some good news for you. I'm sorry, it's in another video, but do I call you BMC?
Yeah, BMC. Usually people call me either Critic or BMC, but I like BMC better because Critic sounds like, I mean, like I don't mind Critic, but like I think it's like, it just kind of reminds me of like when I was like doing the whole academia thing, and it was like, yo, you're the scholar, you got to, you know what I mean? It's just like, no, I just like writing about things.
Well, BMC, if you go to your Promised Neverland chapter 866, 806. No. Oh my gosh, my lips are failing me. The Promised Neverland chapter 86, live reaction. If you go to your own video, I posted a link to my fan fiction.
Okay. Give me a sec. You can't post a link in the live chat?
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? I might be able to do it this time. Let me check.
Definitely try. Oh, yo, hold on. I'm trying to do that, but like key. Y'all already know how I feel about Piano no Mori. A lot of you already know. It is my favorite manga that I've of all time that I've ever read. And
which one?
Piano no Mori. It's called the World of Kai, or the Perfect World of Kai, or something like. Yeah, it's not like a super well known one, like especially in like America, but like in Japan, I think it was like it was like fairly popular, but man, like Piano no Mori is just one of those manga that just it just touches your heart. You know what I mean? It's one of those like manga. It's so good. You know what I mean? So and it's like a gateway kind of manga. Like it's like a gateway kind of manga. Like kind of like how like Naruto, and like Bleach and like certain like kind of like how Weekly Shonen Jump generally is like a gateway, is like holds like gateway manga, for like other things. Like Piano no Mori is like a gateway manga for like, thinking about like adult like issues and other types of stories and stuff like that.
I'm terribly sorry, BMC. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
I just want to ask. I heard the word piano in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so does it involve a kid learning piano, but his mother was abusive?
No, that's you're lying. I just finished the read for that.
That's really hard.
I've heard the bad things about that one.
I can't talk about. I still can't. I can't even look at the volumes.
Do you hate it or love it?
No, I love it, but it's like, oh.
Well, that's odd because I heard some bad things about that one.
There's some stuff. I think like I think like if there are like certain criticisms about it, I get those criticisms. Like I do kind of like I don't know how many people have watched it or read it, but I understand like and I totally like back like I said, like if there's like a criticism of kind of like the way that like women like are sort of treated in a certain way, and girls like are treated in a certain way and are used in terms of like the plot and things like that, and like for the development of dudes and like boys and stuff. I get that. I think that's a critique that like is totally like totally valid, and like that's a really important. And I was thinking about that as I was reading it. But no, go ahead.
The criticism I heard from Kraftwerk, I'm sure you've heard of him. Kraftwerk does a lot of analysis videos. His criticism was that the main character of the piano manga is that he's surrounded by leeches. That all of the secondary characters that are like pushing the main hero on are not actually very good people, and that kind of undermines a lot of the emotional strength of the series.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, Gabby, go ahead.
No, I feel like the strength of that manga anime, is that the kids feel like kids. And they are imperfect. They struggle a lot. And, well, they have their own business. But they all are gathered together by Kosei, the protagonist. And, well, his story revolves around the girl Kaori. But at the end, he realizes that it's not all about him or her. It's just that he was close to the world because this trauma that he had from his childhood. So I feel like the characters are just what they need to be. But I agree that the girls could have had a bit more of development.
Okay, well, I suppose I'd have to. Maybe next time we talk, I'll show you I'll like show you the link to the video Kraftwerk did. I haven't read the series myself, so I don't really have any opinion of my own. But his video I found was pretty put together pretty well. But anyway, unfortunately, once again, I cannot put a link through the chat. So you're just gonna have to look at the.
Let me do that now, so I remember. So I don't do it later. I mean, I'm gonna do it later anyways, but. Let me do it now so that it's always in the chat. So when other people watch this video, I can tell them, hey, like, go to the end of the video and it'll be in the like live chat. Like the link will be there as well. But let me look for it right now.
Yeah, so it's in your 86 live reaction, Promise Neverland. Pretty sure that's the one, yeah. And the link is there.
It'd be cool if you watched it, though. It's a good series. Although you may cry a lot like I did.
Oh no, yeah. That last readathon video, that was rough. I was like, this is such a great ride, but it was also like emotionally, like, you know what I mean? It just
when you reach the end and you get why it's called Your Lie in April.
Yeah.
That was the best part for me.
Yeah. It's so good. Your Lie in April is like amazing.
You have the link?
Yeah. And Piano no Mori is like also really let me see something. Is it too long? Actually, no, let me just get rid of that. That should work. Yeah.
So my fanfic isn't very long. It's less than 10,000 words. It's actually the only complete work I've ever done, but I'm planning to do a much bigger one going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I plan to address a lot of my own problems in One Piece with my fanfiction, especially the stuff with Sanji. The Sanji stuff I really need to address in my fanfiction.
Yeah, the Sanji stuff. Go ahead, Gabby.
No, I like the idea. I mean, I love fanfic, so if you're addressing those issues, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Sanji down a dark place, but then I'm gonna bring him out of it. You know, he's going on a journey, a long.
If he just learns to respect women, I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's gonna be one part of his journey.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, but yeah, as for the fanfic that I have written, it's called Cypher's Log. It's told in the form of log entries, basically. And you might like it. Are you reading it right now, or do you have it up?
No. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end the stream so I can like eat some food while I read the fanfic. But I just put the link in the live chat. So I think, let me know if that link works. If the link works, awesome. If it doesn't, then I'll try to like post it again differently.
Well, let me check for you. Let me check for you.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to thank you for letting Voices from Women come to your channel, because really it means a lot when you say your opinions on One Piece and well complain about how Oda treats women in his manga. And well, everyone comes to you saying, well, no, it's for boys. Why do you care? It's just like it is. And well, really, having someone hear you, it means a lot.
Thank you. And that like to me is like, you know, it's not it's not like you know, I don't do it for like compliments and stuff like that, but because it's like I like when you get to a place, right? And I think like as a guy, and most people, at least at this point, that like watch my channel, like they know like I talk about this all the time, like they know I'm bisexual. That is it. Like there is no question, no, oh, are you sure? Like no. That's it, right? You know. So the thing for me is like before like I even really was like able to like come out and do all those things and say everything and like be like who I am and everything like that, like, you know, I had to do like, and I'm still doing that, and you know, all of this work, you know, it's just all of this work to like, you know, get other like guys like to see like that, you know, a lot of what helped me become a better person and more empathetic and more sympathetic and everything like that was like constant like conversations with women, including right, obviously like including my fiance, her friends who I now consider to be my friends, you know, and like just hearing like the stuff that they would like consistently say was like is an issue. You know what I mean? Like, and it's consistent. And if you have conversations with women, and I always say this, I always like put this: if you have conversations with women, if you actually talk to women as whether it's friends, acquaintances, whatever, if you're actually listening, right, and you're like taking that stuff in, then you know that this is something they're talking about all the time, right? But if you don't, and you're just like, oh, I'm in my own little bubble, then you don't get it. Now go ahead, Gabby.
No, I mean, I was saying it's true that it's. I mean, I love One Piece. I've been reading it for 10 years now, and it's still my favorite manga, even if nowadays I don't get as much enjoyment as I used to. Mm-hmm. And it's not only because I don't like how women are treated. I mean, I feel like the overall quality of the writing has been a bit so. Yeah. And I don't think it's bad to say that. I mean, I still love it, but there's also no perfect author nor perfect story. So I don't like when people like to put Oda in this pedestal that he's perfect, he knows best. Also, well, to be honest, I've been reading 14 years, and I was one of Oda's best defenders back in the day. I mean, I even defended stupid phrases like Soros. She's a woman from the showdown with NL at Skypiea, or stuff like. I used to defend that, but honestly, what really make me just angry, I guess, was one of his SBS questions, answers from volume 79, I guess. Mm-hmm. Where, well, he said there was this person that asks him how he draws women, and he says, "Oh, it's only 2 circles and an X. That's how I always draw women, and that's just the way I do it. I receive complaints from my female fans, but I don't care. Let's just keep on living." I honestly felt so insulted by that, because I even had this feeling that maybe he got complaints, but the editorial didn't let them go through, so he didn't saw them. But no, he says he has seen them. He's receiving complaints from his female fans, and I don't like when people say that Japanese people are just different from us, because feminism is also a thing there. So I felt like he just ignores it. So why should I care then? That's when I just stopped defending him, because I realized he just likes it that way, and he needs to learn it's not okay. He could do better. He has done better. So I'm not gonna just be okay with that anymore.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing. Like you don't, and you don't have to be okay with things that are like a problem. I don't. I mean, and I, it's like just the constant conversations, that you're having. People just like, no, you just gotta relax. It's not that big of a deal. And I'm like, nah. Like usually the people that are saying that, are either like brainwashed into like believing that that's not the case, or they are or they benefit, like they directly benefit from things staying, from those things staying that the way that they are, so so I'm like, nah. Like if I have like if I want to be critical of a particular thing that I think is an issue that needs to be addressed, then and right, and same, right, Gabby as well. It's like, if we have like issues with this stuff, we're gonna talk about it. Like,
yeah,
that's it.
I don't think you stop loving One Piece just because you said that.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, there are a lot of people that come to me and tell me, why you want to see good women in One Piece? Why don't you go to other series? And I do. I read a lot of manga, but One Piece is my favorite series, and it used to do so much better before. I mean, just look at Belemer, at Kureha, at Otohime, and then why do I have to be okay with what others is writing right now? I don't like it, so I'm gonna say it because I love the series and I think it can do better. For example, I'm not a big fan of My Hero Academia. I have a big problems with the women in that manga. Despite everyone telling me that they are great, I have big problems with it. But since I'm not that fan of the manga, I don't really say it.
No, and I think, and again, like that's like something that I get, and I think there were instances that I really liked. I think there were things that I liked that Horikoshi has done. But at the same time, it's like there was the sort of overhaul like stuff. That's the stuff I'm like, to me, like Horikoshi like really like dropped the ball there. I thought it was like it upset me, and that's what
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's weird that you say that, because with My Hero Academia, I feel like I notice any sexism in there even less than I do in One Piece. I'm sorry, gosh, I feel like a terrible person now. Like literally do not pick up on this stuff at all.
No, it's definitely better than One Piece.
Yeah.
It's not good to me either, because Horikoshi hasn't done anything with the girls in such a long time. I mean, in the overhaul arc, Kirishima got development, Deku got development, Mirio, and I don't remember the other kids.
Kirishima.
Got development. But what about Tsuyu? What about Ochako
yeah.
Mina, how's the girl's name?
Which one?
Hado.
Okay.
She also
yeah.
She nothing.
Yeah, and it was weird. It was because I thought like it was set up in a way that was going to come. Like I thought, like, hey, like they declared that they wanted to, you know, like they declared their intentions going into this battle against Overhaul, right? And then there was like maybe like a fifth of the chapter in which they got to fight this like, you know, villain of the week. And they all had to fight, yeah, you know what I mean? And they all had to fight that one dude. I was like, nah. I was legit mad. I was like, what is that? Like, what is that? You know?
I guess for me, it's that I was so engrossed with the action that was happening with Izuku and the other main characters that I mean, I suppose I did kind of notice a little bit, like, that all the girls were still fighting above, like, oh, are they still fighting up there? I thought they'd, like, worked their way down into, like, the labyrinth at this point. But I was just so engrossed in the battle between Overhaul and Izuku, it just never crossed my mind that would be upsetting to me. I suppose that's a problem, perhaps, for me. I suppose
it's not a problem. Actually, most people think that, and it's okay to enjoy what you enjoy. It's also good to think it through. Maybe just notice some details and acknowledge them. Nobody is telling you that it's not okay to enjoy My Hero Academia, but it could be better.
Oh yeah, it could definitely be better, and One Piece could also be a whole lot better. I guess the problem I just have is, and it's what you just said. It's not really a problem, but I just don't notice more. And when I do notice, the times I do notice, I do get mad. I think the worst moment in One Piece has to be all the body swapping shenanigans on Punk Hazard. They were so unfunny and offensive, and I was so upset.
Oh yeah,
that was infuriating.
Yeah,
and I think Dressrosa was even worse in some regards. I actually think Whole Cake Island was actually really good for women compared to Dressrosa. I know you probably disagree with me on that, but
well, I mean, if you're talking about like the designs, I guess. But I think in terms of like characters, like I think it started off with some interesting things, like and some interesting like potential.
Mm-hmm.
And with just like some of these characters, and then it just like I don't know what happened. Like it's Big Mom, Pudding, Reiju. You know what I mean? Yeah. Smoothie. Started off, and then just.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, see, the difference is I actually love all those characters, and I think they were all handled very well. I think Smoothie is the big offender, but I just.
Yeah.
Yeah, Smoothie is.
I get when people say it's better, but honestly, for me, both of them are bad. Because my thing with Big Mom is that she's awesome as a character, but she has no agency. So that just bugs me a lot.
Yeah, right. And it starts off like fantastically, I think, where you're like, I was like, yo, Charlotte Linlin though. Like, whoa, you know what I mean? It starts off great, and that's why, like, for me, it's like Whole Cake Island starts off great, and then it's like you know, it's like breakneck speed, just like awesome things, great reveal, certain things like that, and then it just devolves, you know, and I think like that's how I sort of feel about it, and I feel like with Big Mom, like a big reason why it devolves is because there are just too many things that happen to me that underplay her strength and abilities and stuff like that. I'm like, you know, like, and that the whole thing with now she's in this trance and we have to smash the picture to put her in the trance, and now she's in the trance for the most of the time that they're trying to get out of, like, you know, I'm just like, no. And I think that's sort of a part, like, at least like for me, like, that's kind of where I sort of see, you know, the whole sort of lack of agency thing, because it's like, she doesn't have control really over like certain decisions and stuff like that. You know, it's to me, it's ridiculous. And I think it could have been handled better, right? The trauma isn't the ridiculous thing. It's the way in which, right? It's not that. Like, I think that to me, I was like, yo, like, this is very, very interesting. It's the way in which that trauma is used to sort of like, almost like, you know, what some people might call like nerf her character. You know what I mean? And it's just like, come on.
Hard disagree, but at the same time, I really do have to go. Honestly, I would love to just have like a just one-on-one stream where we just chat about all of this, because I've already talked to Ashwin a lot about Whole Cake Island. I think it's actually one of the best arcs in New World, and you think it's probably one of the worst.
Yeah, and it starts off and it starts off great, and then to me it's like
good priming, bad execution.
Yeah.
Well, once again, agree to disagree. I think it's amazing most of the way through. Honestly, I give it an 8 out of 10. Ashwin gave it a 5 out of 10. What would you give it?
4.
Yeah. If I had to be perfectly honest, I gave it a 5, but then I was like, why am I giving it a 5? Because that'd be like mediocre, and I think it's below mediocre. So that's why like for me, it's like, you know, yeah, 4, 4.5, and a 4.5 if I'm being nice. You know what I mean? Because I always give a 0.5. I'm like, I don't want to, but I'm like, it's already in the 4 territory.
Well, if you want to
4,
if you want to hear I would love to just tell you very briefly my scores. If I'm being subjective, honestly, all the scores would be higher, but it's like my personal enjoyment. But here's how I would break it down. The New World so far, I think, has been mostly good. Fishman Island, I give it a 9 out of 10.
Agreed.
Punk Hazard, I would give it, I think I gave it a 6.5 out of 10.
Wait, what did you give a 9 out of 10?
Fishman Island.
Oh yeah. Fishman Island to me is like is a fantastic arc.
Yeah, I don't get why people hate it so much. I don't understand.
I do get it, because I think that, like, well, go ahead, Gabby, go ahead.
No, it's a violence. I mean, I think it has weak parts, especially the chapters that were only focused on the villains because they were bad. But Holly and the whole theme about slavery and freedom is just perfect in that arc. I think it was handled perfectly, especially because of the flashback. So exactly. I think the pros outdo the cons vastly.
Yeah.
Well, let me run through the rest of them really quickly. So, Fishman Island, 9 out of 10. Punk Hazard, I give it a 6.5 out of 10. Dressrosa, I gave a 5.5 out of 10. I was very disappointed in Dressrosa. A lot of problems I had with Dressrosa. And
I kind of... No, go ahead.
Zoe, I give a 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
I wanted to give it my highest score, which is a 9.9 out of 10. But Jack, I thought, was a terrible villain. And then
I wouldn't even say like he's just, you know, he yeah. I mean, like I was like, I'm not saying like Jack is like, but I guess what I'm saying about Jack is like, he's just he's terrible. Why am I trying to defend this guy?
I mean, he's an idiot. I mean, because of him, Kaido doesn't even have 500 artificial zone users anymore. He has less than that because of how incompetent he was. He's basically Axe Hand Morgan for the New World. That's who he is. He's Axe Hand Morgan.
Yeah, but since he's in the point of the arc, it really doesn't matter that he's terrible. That's why we like the arc despite he being terrible.
Yeah.
And then finally, Whole Cake Island, I give it an 8 out of 10. We can talk about that much later. And then for Reverie, well, I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, if I was basing my Reverie score based exactly on the first chapter, which was 903, I'd instantly give it a 9.9 out of 10 because 903 was an amazing chapter. 904, not as amazing. I thought it was okay. It was decent. I'm giving a little bit of lenience because of Golden Week. I'm talking very fast now. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Unfortunately, I really do have to go now. Thank you so much for talking with me. I hope you read my fan fiction and give me a little bit of feedback on it because it's horror is hard in One Piece, but I tried to make it work.
Yeah. Just a little advice when you want to know when a series has sexist tropes or not. Just take the character that is a woman, say Pudding, and just think, would Oda have done the same if this was a guy? If the answer is no, then it's a sexist trope.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Yep.
And that's why I don't like Big Mom, because if Big Mom would have been Kaido, none of what happened in the arc would have happened. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
The arc would have been really different.
Right?
And she was turned.
No, go ahead.
She was turned into the birdcage of the arc, and that's what bugged me the most.
Right. It's like, and the fact that she is essentially the first, right? It's like, oh, which Yonko are we gonna decide to, sort of make, present as fodder for the Straw Hat Pirates, so that Big News Morgan or whomever can lift the Straw Hat Pirates as like someone who's like gone against the Yonko and like come out victorious. And I'm like, oh, let's choose the one that's a woman.
I don't know if I would do that.
Come on. Like he would never have done that with Blackbeard. He would have never done that with Shanks. He would have never done that with Whitebeard, and he would have never done that with Kaido. But he had to choose the one that people would have been like, oh yeah, all right. And that's Big Mom because of sexism. That's what that is. I'm sorry. Like that's what that is. And
maybe the sexism is in the One Piece world itself.
No, it's no. Well, but look who creates the One Piece world, right? When you decide to do that, like there are reasons behind it. You don't just say, oh, you know what, go write the story. That's it. Like for that long, for years and years and years.
Yeah, and if it was something in the world itself, it'd be acknowledged somehow. And it was by Tashigi and others, but Oda never does anything to change it. So
it's weird because when I think about sexism in One Piece, I feel like there are two perspectives. There's the out-of-universe perspective where we know it's sexist, but then we think, well, in-universe, is it sexist? Like, is the world warping itself? Or is Oda warping the world? Like, what's really happening here?
To me, it's the second.
Right, and I think Gabby, go ahead. Sorry.
That's mostly because, well, I think that what settled me on the idea was the flashback, because the flashbacks showed us where Lin come from. But if you look at it, she never had an intention to become a pirate. She wasn't a bad kid. She was a nice kid that had too much strength. And what happened? She ate Mother Carmel and stuff, but at the end was found by a pirate, and the pirate made her the emperor that she is. So that means that if someone good found her, she wouldn't be a pirate? That's the thing. She has no agency.
Well, I just saw a comment in the box. He's so used to the sexism that he thinks it isn't sexism. Well, maybe that's the problem I'm having right now. Like, I just don't. I mean, I personally, I live in America where our society isn't nearly as sexist as Japan is. So maybe my perspective just isn't. But then again, I don't know.
I think it's okay to not know, but it's also okay to be open to learn about it. So as I told you, the key is to look at the character that you're not sure about and ask yourself, do you think this would have happened if he was a boy? If the answer is no, then there's a trend there.
Well, all right. I'm gonna have to really think about some of these things. I'm sorry if I made a bad impression or whatever.
No, it's not even that. It's just like, just very quickly, it's like Gabby just said, right? It's like there's gotta be a desire to for reflection. and progression and things of that nature, right? To see those things, and to understand and to try to understand like why that's the case. You know what I mean? Like because and it's and Key mentioned this, right? It's just like the one thing I think that probably bothers me the most about this community, and I think a lot of other people know this, is like the lack like of a desire to talk about these things and to see and to like be like, hey, like this is an issue. This should be included in our critiques of manga or anything really, right? But like we're talking about One Piece, right? So, and that's what we're saying, right? It's like you're trying to reflect, you're trying to see these things, you're trying to understand like why, you know, and just like, right, and Gabby and mostly right, girls and women who are fans of One Piece, right? Like see these things immediately, right? Like immediately, like, oh no, you know, because it's not just like One Piece is the only thing doing that. It's like there are a lot of other mediums that do the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like a constant thing, and it's not just like, oh, this stuff happens, okay, whatever. It's like this stuff happens, and it legitimately affects people who read or watch or consume these mediums, and it affects how they view the world and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like people legit like use One Piece as examples for arguments in the real world, right? So if those arguments are based in something that is like deeply sexist, then what tends to happen is like those like real world sort of arguments that those people tend to use also sometimes become sexist. They might not even know that, right? Like they like kind of like Oda, right? It's just like they don't even see that. But just because you don't see it doesn't mean that you can't and that you shouldn't try to.
Yeah, when I've been thinking about it, I refuse to believe that Oda is being malicious about it. Oda does not strike me as a malicious, like, bad person. He just strikes me as... I don't think Oda is doing this with the intention of hurting women. I think he's doing this based on the... I think it's just... I don't know. I'm just like, I'm really trying to think.
You know, and it's like
It's the norm for him, you know?
Yeah, but that's well, go ahead, Gabby. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's what's wrong, exactly. That he doesn't think he's doing wrong, but you do no harm by listening to other people. And when he answers an SBS that says, and he says, I got complaints, but I don't care, then you are not doing it right. And that's what's wrong. I mean, and that's my biggest problem with Oda right now, that he thinks his story is fine how it is now. And One Piece touches upon a lot of really important issues. So why not this one too? It's just, I think Oda has it in him to make a difference, but he chooses not to because he doesn't want his story to change. And that's just not how an author should be.
Yeah, it's kind of like willful ignorance a little bit on Oda's part, perhaps.
Yeah.
You know, and that to me that's worse, because it's really, it's like you choose to ignore the stuff, right? As opposed to like, let's say like right actually like as opposed to what you're talking about, right? Where you were like, hey, there were like times where like it's hard for me to see those things, but when I do see them, I'm like, yo, this is an issue, right? Like that's like that to me, like that's not willful ignorance. You know what I mean? That's just like, yo, I am progressing. I am working on, and I'm you know, being better in seeing like why these things that women are already saying are a problem, like are a problem. With willful ignorance, it's like, yeah, I hear this stuff, but I don't care because I'm selfish and what I want matters. And it's just like, it's like a deep lack of empathy. And like that lack of empathy is what, like, to me, it's really, it's kind of disturbing, you know? Like, honestly, because for like, I think empathy is like massively important. And I think there are a lot of people who might not think that. And that also disturbs me a bit. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm not giving up One Piece, that's for certain.
No, and I'm not telling anybody. Like, we're not saying that. We're not saying give up.
I know you're not obviously. That, but I don't agree with this at all, and I definitely think that Oda does need to change. But I will say this: unless he does something that is just out of this world, like ridiculously, blatantly bad, and he's kind of skirting the line, but he hasn't quite crossed it yet. I'm sticking through to see the end because that final war is coming, and I gotta see that final war. That final war is just gonna be out of this world.
Yeah. All I'm gonna say is that I'm looking forward that war. I'm looking forward the end. I want to know what One Piece is, but I really have no hope for good women in One Piece anymore until Oda proves me wrong, because I've been let down just enough in the latest arcs. So while I'll keep on enjoying the series, I just don't hope anymore.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, well, that's basically what happens with most stories, honestly.
No, yeah, especially when it comes to, I mean, like, you know, and one thing I want to do at some point is have like a discussion about Weekly Shonen Jump. And I was talking with Dribble Kenshin, he's another YouTuber. Just it's like it's gonna be a discussion about Emma in The Promised Neverland, and like, you know, if Emma were a boy, like, you know, like what would that do for the series? Would the series still be as great? And for me, it'd be like no. I mean, like that's like, to me, it's like I mean, even before we get to that stream, I'm just gonna answer that question like no. I've talked about this. I'm like, the fact that Emma is a girl is probably the single greatest thing about The Promised Neverland for me. Like there, nothing else about the series trumps that, right? Like nothing. And you could try to make an argument for it, but Emma is
really
Emma is pretty awesome. I love The Promised Neverland. I especially love all those crazy demon designs. Those are wicked.
Yeah,
Joe catches spoilers. No, they know this. They know what's coming now, so they can get excited about it.
I won't spoil anything, but I will say, how do you say his name? Is it Luvis or Liuvis?
Luvis, I think.
Yeah, well, there's like, I forget who it is. Someone
the guy in the black hat.
Yeah, go ahead.
That guy is oh, I am scared because that guy, he's like on a whole nother level than all those other poachers. He's on a whole nother level.
Oh, yeah.
I'm scared. Yeah. I'm very scared for what's going to happen with him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to reading that chapter tomorrow. Oh, man. I can't. I mean, like, I don't know. Because I haven't read it yet. So,
I have to go now, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I really do have to go.
Yeah.
All right, Levis. Levis. I think the actual pronunciation is Levis. Heard that from the Promised Neverland account, like the unofficial one. But all right, I'm gonna end the stream. I'm gonna end the stream now. Man, tomorrow. That's the first thing I'm gonna do when I get home tomorrow. I'm gonna read The Promised Neverland.
Before we end the stream, I do want to say one thing. I was always aware of these issues, but I do want to thank you too for kind of bringing this to light for me a little bit more. And I'm gonna keep my eyes out. I love the series of One Piece. I'm always gonna love it. It was the very first manga I've ever read, the very first anime I ever watched, and it's always gonna have a great place in my heart. But I'm gonna be a little bit more vigilant from now on. I'm gonna watch to see if Oda is being more sexist over time, or maybe less sexist if we're being hopeful and optimistic. If we're being optimistic, maybe he'll turn our expectations around, and there'll be good things in the future for women.
I hope so. Well, thanks for listening, actually, because most people just get defensive when you talk anything negative about One Piece.
I've been around the block long enough to know that getting super defensive over stuff like this never leads to good conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't lead to like any sort of like, you know, positive growth or, you know, like, right. Like it doesn't lead to any productive, like sort of conversation. Everything just kind of stays, you know, on a even level of like badness. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just like, there's no real like, shift or change. And like that, you know what I mean? But, all right, I'm gonna end the stream. I'm stream now. Thank everyone that came through for coming through. Y'all are awesome. Shouts out to y'all in the chat that stuck around for this like end part of the conversation. Y'all are dope. All right, this
I'm going to get a
dope. That's it.
All right. I hope you enjoy my fan fiction. Please let me know if you. Oh, I'm sorry.
What's up?
Right, Gabrielle, you can talk first.
Oh no, I was just saying thanks for having us, and well, I'll see you again in the next stream.
Yep. And Gabby, make sure you can always send me like links and stuff, or you can put links, and if you can put links in the chat, you can put links in the chat. That way I know where they are. And you know, you can always send me the link so I can put them in the description box. Because Gabby's art is phenomenal. I'm saying that. It is. You know, no, oh, seriously though. Like, that's another thing. Like, I really want to get back to doing this like project that I had started like a while back, but I wasn't like consistently working. But now like I can do it. I'm gonna like get those like the commissions for Emma for from the Promised Neverland. I'm gonna like have them I'm gonna frame them. I don't know. I gotta figure out how to like print them out, but basically I'm gonna get them like framed. I still have some like some digitals from people that I've already like commissioned, but Gary's gonna be one of those people. It's gonna be like this whole like collage kind of thing. It's gonna be dope. I'm gonna put it on Twitter. I'm gonna put it on the site. Like, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome. And now I have the money to do it. You know, so
I have a very important question for you. And MLC. I mean, dang it.
BMC.
BMC. There you go. Do you know how to work the Space Battles site?
Space Battles? I probably don't.
Yeah, that's where my fanfiction's on. I don't want you to mess it up, or you might spoil yourself. There's an index.
Oh, okay.
So if you go to the link, I'm gonna just walk you through it because you might need some help.
All right. Let me end the stream, and then you can help me out after the stream is like off, like live and everything.
Yes.
All right. All right. Thank you all for coming through. This was a dope conversation. I had an awesome time. Thank you to Ash, Gabby. You know what I mean? What was the beginning?
Ash?
No. Because I know you don't want me to call you. You want me to call you like a tag, Axel. You want me to give you like, sorry, but Axel?
Yo, Axel. Just
Yeoman
Axel, please.
Yeoman. Okay, Yeoman Axel. All right.
That's
a tag. Yeah. When you will see this person on the screen, like Yeoman Axel. That's what it is. Okay. Thank you all for coming through. All right. Thank you all for coming through. This was dope. Sorry about that flub. All right. And I'm out of here, man. We're all out of here. We all got stuff to do. It's Sunday. Monday is coming.
All right. Bye. Well, I'm staying.
All right. Later.